Welcome, everyone. We are here for the pregame. It is another massive show. GG Millions, August 27th. Jonathan Jaffe joins us, five-time guest, absolute crusher. We know it. GTO Lab podcast host, does a lot of things, plays a lot of poker, and we're going to commentate on a massive final table during the GG WSOP online. So a little bit bigger prize pools, a lot of special events, and a lot to talk about. Jonathan, how you doing today?
Pretty good. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's a fun one, man. Thank you again for the time. Appreciate you being here. You can see over 13 million in earnings. Pretty crazy resume. We're going to go and dive in and look at from last week as well. We've got a very familiar face, someone Juan Pardo Dominguez. Jonathan, I'm sure you played a lot with him. You battled with him in some Tritons and high stakes tournaments. How much experience do you have playing with Juan?
Yeah, a fair amount. Maybe not as much as a lot of these guys since I'm not online, but played against him a lot live in the past couple of years. Just tremendous player.
Yeah, well, you can see 3 wins, pretty insane FT percentage, 143 appearances, 38 cashes, and gets himself another title last week. Let's take a look at that winning hand from last week. There he is playing against a Russian player, Alexander, who had a very nice final table, great showing, had a big score. Of course, this was a very special event as we look at a open with queens. Pretty nice hand, heads up. Not much to talk about there. Going to go ahead and open, and Alexander then calls 7-9-5 with 2 diamonds. When you're Juan here and you have queens and it's heads up, I mean, just how comfortable board with this? You're just going for value, obviously, with the undercards there. What do you like sizing usually in these spots?
Yeah, this is a flop where you can definitely see some bigger sizing. Looks like this time, what's he go for, half pot?
Yeah, he goes half pot. 7-9-5 connected board again, wide ranges. Queen 7 off being the middle hand. They call the computer hand and heads up play. So queens, obviously a good hand, even 9-handed, let alone heads up. And then here Alexander doing a little bit of tanking, thinking about how to proceed, and he does raise. So I guess, at this point you got queens heads up. You lose to some hands, of course, but you're feeling good against many hands. You're going to be against some one pair combo draws, and he is going to decide whether to raise or just call as the 9-7-5 2-diamond board. He does put it in, and then Alexander, let's see, was he bluffing? And this hand, obviously, we know that's going to be an all-in. There it is. 8-9, got top pair, gut shot. Can't blame him for going with the 8-9 there, and gives the pretty good game. Diamonds backdoor are covered, and that is going to be it. That is going to be the winner there. Juan going to get it done as he, again, we mentioned, gets his 3rd title. Pretty impressive stuff there, and a large prize pool. Really special as he does take it down. So yeah, again, today nine players. We are going to play to a winner. There is no deal making. We're going to get to see the players jockey for the seat assignment. We'll talk about that a little later. And today, one of the players we get to see, Michael Adamo. I know one of the more fun guys to watch. He is at this final table, and he also is a crusher. What do you got to say about Adamo? How much experience with him do you have?
Yeah, pretty similar to with Malacca, but last few years some live stuff. But I mean, everyone knows Adamo is just one of the most, if not the most entertaining player to watch. There's not really a guy who puts as many chips in the pot, at least over the last, let's say, 6 years, as him, that is winning as much as he is. Usually, if you see a guy put as many chips as he does into the pot, the game is running around them. But that's not at all true with Mike.
Yeah, I would say he's a lot of people's favorite player, like or most fun player to watch. And there's not that many that have the same style as him because, there's people that are aggressive, there's people that overbet, but it just seems that he's one of those guys, like when I'm watching, I'm always just like, what's going to happen? You just feel like he's always ready to make a move that is in the, let's call it solver world, few percent or aggressive move. He's got that in like a big part of his range. He's just ready to put you to the test at any portion. And it's a reason why we often see him with a chip lead or one of the chip leaders when he's deep. And today we see him on a little bit of a shorter stack. So we'll see as 7th place position today. We're going to see how he's going to come from that spot at the final table. If he's able to be still very aggressive or if he kind of dictates a bit more ICM. So very interesting. And he's going to try to ladder up on that all-time GG Million all-time ranking board there as a very impressive in terms of titles. He has 8 looking to chase that 10 of Artur Mortarizian. So very cool to see when there's someone in the top 10 at the final table. We're going to get to see that today.
Yeah, the dichotomy between Adamo's personality and his playing style is impressive. He is one of the most chill, cool customers, relaxed guy. Some poker players, some people in any whatever sport game have a chip on their shoulder. Not at all for Adamo, and the way he plays looks like a man who's looking to prove something. But like I said, that's not really what I get from him personally.
It's interesting you say that. There is something to be said about that. You know, let's just stereotype for a bit with females or an older player, let's say a 65, 7-year-old player versus a 21, or, you know, the look, right? If you actually can reverse what your general stereotype is at the table, I think it does help a bit, right? Like, you know, when I go to a table, if I see a guy or a woman that's 7 years old, you know, I'm not gonna just immediately think that they got a crazy range and they're willing to go wild, right? So if they are able to do that, and vice versa, if you look sort of aggressive, if, again, stereotype, it happens. Let's all be honest. We all stereotype a bit at the table when we sit down. I think that is a bit of an advantage, at least for the short term. If you don't know someone, if you don't know their game,
sure,
if you're unfamiliar with them, to have a completely different feel and look to your game than how you maybe come across. As we see the payouts today, 51K for ninth, 5 buy-ins, and then of course 410,000 up top. Big money, $250,000 plus basically for third, which sometimes is first. So again, during the online WSOP with the bracelet events, I think this we're going to see this during this next stretch until the end of September, where there's going to be a little bit bigger prizes, a little more to play for, a little more entries. Again, over 2 million in the prize pool today. So that'll be, it's always a little more fun when it's a little more money. So today one of those, we're going to see a bit more in the prize pool. Anything in the payouts there jump out for you? I mean, it's sort of a similar GGMillion payout, where it's
I mean, I didn't do the math. I assume they're using the same payout structure as they always do, which is very flat, which contributes to very tight play overall. You know, you really don't want to bust. And so there's some tight folds. You know, you'll see people fold 9s to a 3-bet. There's just some tight play, and the chip leader, you know, in this case Barack, we'll get to him, is gonna, you know, get to have his way with the guys.
Very, very well said. And that is, again, Barack, who has been on fire, won some a GGMillion recently, and he's had a lot of success, and he finds himself sort of deep with chips, not just deep, but the chip leader. We'll talk about him and look at one of his hands that got him to the final table in a little bit. As we go through the finalists, we see 10 appearances, 2 cashes, 1 final table. This is a player that is, I would say, on the experience level a little bit less than the others, right? Definitely one of the players that we don't see as much, and you can see in his total GGMillion earnings, it's not super significant. But again, 18 big blinds and in 9th place, still a lot to go for, and really the risk premium, right? He's got the least pressure at the final table, which sometimes can be nice. So that is our 9th place player, and who we don't know quite as much about, Los Pab Forez there for Prez, I guess. What is it by? How would you pronounce that name there?
I have no idea. Let's call him Forez.
Forez. Let's see what he can do in 9th place. Let's take a look at our 8th place seat today. Who is in 8th on the day? A Brazil, and just seems standard. Brazil and Austria find their way to the final table. This is a player I know a fair amount about. We can see a lot of appearances. We've seen him on here many times. Got a win before, 45% of the money, 35 cashes from 78. Pretty impressive, and over 10 million in GG earnings. Have you played with Rodrigo live? Do you know much about Rodrigo, or maybe seen him on here?
I don't. I'll look him up in a moment to see if his picture rings any bells for me. I'm not sure if we've played together or not.
Okay. Well, yeah. Again, 20 big blinds, so got a lot of upside in 8th right now. See if he can kind of get going and move up in the order, as he has still got a lot of work to do on 20 blinds. We'll take a look at our 7th place stack now, who is another name that we will spend a lot of time on today. We're always going to be curious what he's got going on. 7-time winner, in the money for almost 30% of the time. He's played 164 times this tournament. That is crazy. That's a lot of times, right? That's over 3 years of Sundays that he has participated in this tournament, and he is all-time ranking of 6th place. So Adamo, we'll spend more time on him. We've already touched on him on the show, and a lot to look forward to see how he can play, not as the big stack today. 23 blinds, see if he can get going in this tournament today. Our 6th place player today, he is a man that has been a little more active recently. 6 final tables, has not got the monkey off his back in the GGMillion, has not won. 5th place, sort of, what's your strategy when you're in middle of the pack in a tournament like this? 5th place, you're sort of you're kind of a tough spot, right? You don't want to bust, but you also know that it's worth ICM. What's sort of middling stack takeaways that you try to look at when you come into a final table in the middle? What's one of the mindsets?
Yeah, this is one of the stacks who's going to have some more pressure on him than others. You know, on the one hand, his job isn't terribly fun. On the other hand, it's probably easier than a lot of the other guys in that when in doubt, you probably have a fold. There are probably some sneaky, absurdly tight folds coming from pocket pairs and suited hands that you just really aren't familiar with unless you're playing flat payout final tables as a mid stack. I think Alexander is extremely experienced and really sharp, so he'll know what to look for.
Yeah, well said. We'll see how that goes, as sort of again in the middle there. As our 5th place player is a player that I am less familiar with. A Ping is in there, and you can see GG earning 700,000, GGMillion earnings only about 70K, so not quite as many pulls here. 0 final tables, going to be a first time, but does cash 50% of the time in those 4 appearances. So not a huge sample size. We'll get to know this player a bit better as we take a look at our 4th player, who does have some more GGMillion experience, our Romashka there, and from the Russian flag bearing. 9 final tables, no wins, 22 cashes, a lot of appearances, and we are going to get to see them battle today. You can see a 5th place back in 2023 December. Any play with this player? Do you recognize them from live or online?
I don't recognize him, but it's definitely possible. We've played in person. Yeah, I again haven't played online in years really, so not online.
And we'll talk about that after. I want to ask about the itch and the bracelets online and what's going on. We'll get to that in a little bit. But first, we do have some hands to get through. Let's take a look at our 3rd place stack. K Maslak, who is someone that has also had a lot of final tables, not gotten the monkey off the back, hasn't won. It's so hard to win. And there's so much variance. You can get second, thirds, you know, just things don't break right, lose flips, whatever happens. But there it is. A lot of appearances, a lot of cashes, a lot of final tables. Hasn't got the win yet. Today, 54 blinds, a little more of a force, a little more of an opportunity today when you're not short, right? Top sort of in the bigger stack section, 54 blinds, and a fair amount of earnings in both GG and in GGMillion. So over 2 million in GGMillions alone, 54 blinds in this stack, 4th place. And we'll see how the seats shake out when they do the draw. But what are your thoughts on this with 54 blinds at a final table, where it stands? What are some strategic ideas from Maslak?
Yeah, he's got some play left in him. You know, 54 blinds is pretty deep. We'll see what the guys ahead of him are looking like, but there's some post-flop poker in his future. You know, those bottom 3 guys, 18, 20 blinds, if they find themselves post-flop, for the most part, it's going to be like 3-to-1 SPR or lower. Obviously, if Maslak finds himself post-flop with the guys who have bigger stacks than him, it's a whole different game. You're talking about 9-to-1 SPR potentially. That's a lot of room for someone like Barak to find some pretty creative exploitative lines. Maslak has the type of stack and pressure on him where it would be not terribly surprising to see him fold the top pair in a certain spot. You know, not foreshadowing, just a lot of possibilities for him, deeper SPRs.
Yep, well said. And we're going to take a look at one of the hands to get to this final table. Let's see how it played out, where, you know, important pots along the way. It's fun to see where players get chips or make big folds, or, you know, it's not just smooth, right? These guys are in there. They're playing it right now. You can see he's got 1.3 million. The blinds are 25K, 50K, and we are going to see him open ace queen off. This hand has a special place in my heart. Just one that always seems I don't love. I just feel like things don't go right, and I always like to see the best play it and then think about what they're doing, how they're going about it. Here we go. Ace queen. That's a good start. You open your 5-handed ace queen. Good hand. You're in position now for the hand. So the blind, small blind, big blind. There's a damo lurking in the big blind. We'll see if there's some adversity before that, or maybe a heads up pot with the defend. Let's see here.
Let me ask you the other side of it. What is a hand that has a special place in your heart?
I like Jack 9 suited. I like Jack 9 suited. I just feel like there's not a lot of pressure there, a lot of possibility, and you know, when you get there, you know, a board when it's good for you. You get to kind of party, and it's under rep. But here we go. Ace queen, ace 6-7 rainbow. And against the damo, man, he's dangerous. He's in there, check raises. He goes maybe a little wider than most, but ace queen, great spot. What are you doing here?
Yeah, I mean, we're certainly putting chips in. Yeah, could go quarter pot as he does here. Always a bit enticing when you're playing a player of Adamo's quality, you know, his caliber to go on the small side and induce some extra check raises. Definitely looks like a texture where you could play some bigger size if you'd like. That being said, a lot of his bluffs are going to struggle to continue. So
it's almost like it's scripted, but you know, this was a selected hand, but here he goes, the Adamo. There it is. Ace queen, you got top pair, second nut kicker, and you just get check raised. So it's kind of scary because you're either against a draw, likely some kind of decent draw, or you got out flop 6-7 or ace-6, ace-7, and he is going to be in a spot, can't fold, and he does call king of diamonds on the turn, sort of a brick from the draw perspective. But now what? Adamo is in, I mean, we don't know what Adamo has, so it's hard to say what's going to happen, but let's see what Adamo comes with, if he slows down or keeps putting pressure. Assume he does put pressure. I mean, ace queen, it's sort of a tough spot, right? You're just sort of like feel good, but you can't go anywhere.
Yeah, I'm pretty comfortable losing my chips if I'm beat. You know, in addition to draws, which I'll brick the turn, Adamo has some hands like a 6-5, a 7-5. You know, he can be working with some backdoors. In this case, maybe a Jack-5 of diamonds or something was taking an aggressive line, a 10-5 of diamonds. You know, I wouldn't expect too much for him to be continuing the spades and hearts, but there's a lot of possibilities, and it looks, you know, the only question I think to this point would be, does Maslach want to have 3-bet the flop? But if he thinks Adamo is over bluffing, probably not.
Well, a pretty welcome river, right? You go from a probably good, feeling comfortable, but a little worried, to you sort of have the nuts, right? Other than 6s or 7s, and even then, right? Like, you're not against ace king. Adamo's not just calling ace king pre or aces or kings, and there's not a ton of hands you're in trouble with here. So it's effectively the nuts, and you get the blocker bet here. This is just too good. Your hand, you got to raise.
Makes me wonder if Mike has ace 10 or ace jack at this point. Hey, there we go.
Wow.
Let's go.
There, all right, locked in. And you and what about the just call there?
Yeah, forgot about that. Don't love that. Yeah, that looks tight.
Yeah, but hey, Adamo's a scary guy, a lot of money, and to be fair, he's got $2 million. He wins the pot. You know, he also may think doesn't get called by worse, but I think that's a dangerous spot to start thinking. Right? You got to. I listen. You know me. I listen all about caution, all about being conservative, but I feel like I'm pretty confident to shoot that one up on the river in that spot. So what would you go with sizing if you're going to raise there, though?
We're all gonna die. You got to live along the way.
Amir Vahidi, in order to live, you must be willing to die. You're going for it. All right.
There you go.
The legend Amir Vahidi, man, rest in peace. So there you go. Okay, all of it, the whole enchilada. You heard it from Jaffe. I'm going with Rays, but either way, he's got a big stack, doing well. Third position today. Let's take a look at our second place contestant today, who is in there. Be Myself. Okay, I like the name, and also a satellite winner as well as our Romanashka. Interesting to point out, satellite winner today in second place, one final table, 23 appearances, and a GG experience, right? Almost 2 million in earnings, but not a ton in GGMillion, and kind of fun when you satellite in. There's a variety of ways to do it. $100, I believe, all the way down, right? 500, you can play a 1K, you get in, and here you go. Now you're looking at a real parlay. So he is in second place, 410K up top, and we're going to take a look at Be Myself, someone who we don't have a ton of history with on the show, but let's take a look at his hand. One of his key hands.
I like his avatar. If anyone in the chat knows where that's from, I'd love to know if it looks like an old school like RPG character or something. I don't know if it's just a made up one, but pretty sweet.
Yeah, a very interesting position here, as ace queen is the hand. It's like they know that I just love this hand. This one's suited though. This one gives me a lot more confidence. Ace queen suited, but 9-handed, early position raise. You're in mid position. More difficult in a lot of ways here, right? There's still a lot going on. Going to proceed. He just calls here. Tell me about the benefit to call or raise with this hand against that stack when you're leading.
We don't have to get 30 bigs in against ace king, which we would always call off. We don't have to get 30 bigs in against the queens, the kings. So that's, benefit number one. Benefit number two, we didn't, put too much money in. If we face a cold 4 behind, you're pretty indifferent with ace queen suited. So, it's not loving the call, but the 3-bet is not doing too much for us. It's folding some better hands, some worse hands.
Well, we are going to see the call. Two of the titans of the world in football. There you go. Argentina and Brazil battling here. We got another. Is that Artur there, the #1 all-time GG leader there? He's even got a little different color, a little respect there as he's rocking this. Oh, hello. I mean, all right. Well, 118 to 1 to flop a flush. Might as well make it the nut flush with the royal draw. So let's see how this plays out. Maybe the board pairs maybe gets a little crazy. I don't know. This is at right now when you have the nuts. It's nice. You're getting led into also for the record. What are you doing? I mean, is there ever a scenario to raise, or you just always call no matter what here?
I think it's pretty nice spot to not even play raises, to just play calls and folds with your range.
Okay. Well, the player who's leading into 2 opponents, what are you kind of putting this player on now? Because you don't have the ace of diamonds. You know, you did raise early position. You're blocking aces with the ace, but what kind of hand do you think he might have here?
Yeah, if we're holding the cards we are, I'm thinking that there's some pocket tens there. There's some ace king, some pocket aces, some king 10 suited. Mostly very strong hands. You know, the only one we're seeing that makes a lot of sense as a bluff is ace jack with the jack of diamonds. That's a pretty narrow hand. Depending on what stage of the tournament we're at, you can imagine queen jack O with the jack of diamonds. But it's looking very value heavy from him. That being said, we still could scare him off some big value by putting in a raise because our line is super strong. Yeah, to this point, it looks like it's played itself for Be Myself.
2 seconds here. Got a big show today. I gotta get the iced coffee fired up. All right, well, there's a cooler. Opens 8-9 suited and does both flop a flush. I don't know the odds, both to flop a flush. 118 to 1 to flop a flush, though. Says, haha. Can't feel good, though. You flop it, and then you're just dead, literally drawing dead. So there is a big pot for Be Myself. And again, what a spin. We see it before. Satellite, you know, get in and get in, and now he's got amazing shot for a huge score today. Really exciting to see 2 satellite winners today, but the chip leader, the man of the hour, Barack Wizbrod. This guy is on fire. He got the win recently. It was cool to see him get it. You know, people speak highly of him. I know he plays some of the biggest cash games in the world as well, and he has got his time in on the GGMillion. 93 appearances. You can see 28 cashes, 30% of the time in the money, 9 final tables, 10,800,000 in earnings on GG. And here he goes again, looking to put the heat on, to go chip leader. He's got almost 100 big blinds. And tell me about this versus other chip stacks you see. The short stacks aren't extremely short. They're about 18, 20 blinds. The second and third stack, I think they're, 77, 53. So he does have a pretty good position today. And how much pressure do you think, you know, with his distribution of chips, is he going to be able to put? Do you think this is like a huge lead, or is this, you know, like how much extra, how wide can he go with this type of lead today versus other stacks? Is he going to put a little more pressure than normal?
Yeah, we'll see what his position is at the table. He's the last one to choose, but that'll give us a better idea. But yeah, as long as he's maintaining this chip lead, he gets to expand those opens. You know, anything with an ace or a king in it really jumps up. You know, not so much the pocket pairs or the suited connectors. So you might see, you know, a 6-5 suited fold in a spot where he might even open for chips. But at the same time, he might be opening something really wild, like a king 8-0 in a position that you just never see for chip EV. But yeah, Barack knows exactly what he's doing. He knows how to navigate. He's not afraid to play exploitatively. He's not going to simply be following a sim in his head. He's going to be adjusting to his opponents, trying to keep an eye on what the unknowns are doing. The guys who have less experience at the table, I'm sure he will have, you know, as soon as the stream reaches him on the 30-minute delay or whatever it is, he's going to be taking that information and trying to synthesize it, rework his ranges a little bit according to those players. All of them will be doing that, I would imagine. But Barack, you know, may have some of the biggest shifts having this big chip lead in terms of how he wants to go about things.
For sure. Well, let's take a look. Let's take a look at a hand he played, because he is our chip leader. Got to see how he got there. Maybe one of the moments where he extended his lead. There you go. 2.4 million. King queen off, 6-handed. This looks like pretty late juncture of the tournament, right? Some big stacks around. It's not full hand, full table there. So it's 2.4 mil. He is going to open to the min raise, king queen offsuit, and a couple of familiar faces there at the table. Damo always around, always sort of in the mix there. 1.2 million stack using his time bank. Most of these players I've seen, Ding Bao as well, and around. We're going to go to the big blind. This common theme, folds to the big blind, see if he is going to defend or raise, but we know he's playing. And get top pair. King, Jack 6, 2 clubs, King, Queen off, in position now, covering. What do you like here?
Like big size. We've got just kind of one of the perfect hands. He goes small. You know, who am I to say?
And what's a factor between going big or small, and when you have an option to randomize, or there's different options? Is it player dependent usually? Stage of the tournament?
There's a lot of things going on. Typically, before you move into exploit territory, you're thinking about board texture and your position as it relates to that, along with the depth you're playing. But then, you might take into account the fact that Barack probably has a significantly wider than chip EV opening range, even though it's not the final table. He probably has a bunch of crap ace that he usually wouldn't have from the low jack. That may contribute to him just kind of playing an all-around smaller size here.
Well, River's a very interesting card. Improves to trips, but the flush completes. So million in the middle, stack to pot ratio less than 1 by a decent margin for our Brazilian friend here. And let's see, 640K stack. Does check it over.
I thought he was going to rip it. I thought he was going to have like a queen 10 with a club kind of thing.
Well, does Barack, do you go for value here? Do you have to? Is it dependent? When he checks to you, you just assume that the flush is not going to be checking over. The board does pair, though, but still.
He's going to have some flushes, but no, it seems like a pretty mandatory put the money in. He's got plenty of lower king. He can call with a jack. Yeah.
Well, does get it. GG goes for the max, gets it, and that is going to be a big pot for Barack. We can see he's chip leader, and going to take us to the next portion of our pregame show, where we're going to take a look at the betting odds. And I know this is something that we've toyed with, but we're just going to go let you pick first, and 100 units and see how we do. You can pick the first player. We'll each select 3, and the audience will either win $50 or $100. 50 if your players win, 100 if my win. So go ahead. Who you taking?
So wait, if you win, they get more money?
Yes, they'll get a $100 pick. Yeah.
Give me 4 res.
4 res. Wow, look at this. This is how the GTO Lab podcast host thinks outside the box. He's a man of the people. He's going for the long shots. How much you betting out of your 100 units? You got to bet. You got to bet 3.
I guess 30.
30. Okay, I'll take Barack. I'm going my man Barack. I met him, played with him, and in Vegas. I like him, and he's chip leader. So next pick.
Vamu, Rodrigo.
Okay. Rodrigo, I love Brazilians. That felt personal, but I see what you're doing there, going 9-8 down the list. And I will go with Be Myself, man. I just, satellite winner, second place. I'm going for chips.
Excellent. Yeah. Let's go, Mikey. Adamo.
You get the Adamo. You get some big names in this strategy. So what are you betting? 30, 30, 40? What do you got? Tell me what are you breaking down?
Yeah, 30, 30, 40.
40 for Adamo. So you got some upside. If you bink, you're gonna get a nice payday. I'm going. I'll go 30. No, I'll go 40, 30 would Be Myself, and I'll take. Is it? I can't be that. But you're really. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Romashka. He's I think satellite as well for my other 30. So there we go. Those are our picks. 3 and 3 audience. If I win, you get a $100 ticket. If Jonathan wins, it's 50, and if it's someone that is not picked, it'll be 100 as well. So those are the tickets, and I do want to remind everyone. On the GG Twitter, there is a $100 giveaway opportunity that is there. It is every week. You can guess the top 3. It doesn't have to be the correct order. Just put it in there. Must be subscribed to the YouTube channel. Must hit the thumbs up, of course, if you're enjoying the show. And we got a big one today. This is exciting. Adamo's here, 400,000 plus. We got 2 satellite winners. We got Jonathan Jaffe. Just had Ike on your GTO Lab podcast. I'm looking forward to checking that out. I feel like Ike doesn't do a lot of content or podcasts, so that's cool. That'll be fun to listen to, and yeah, man, I'm looking forward to it. And we got a big show today. This is going to be a fun one, and I think I think, Jonathan, we're going to take a quick break, and then I think we will go right. We're going to dive right in with everyone. So we'll see you guys there, and we'll play to a winner today, John. Let's do it. Take a quick one. And
Sounds good.
I love the background you got there, man. That thing, it looks like you're in like a loft. I don't know what you got. It looks like a green screen. It's a
tiny house in my backyard. This is my office, and then kind of a guest room upstairs.
Very cool. All right, well, let's take a short break. We'll see you guys in 5 minutes, and we're going to play to a winner. Let's get it. Welcome back. Short break, pregame show. We covered the players, we covered the prize pool. We are going to be covering a winner today. And again, 5-time guest Jonathan Jaffe, host of the GTO Lab podcast, joins us, and we will be seeing ourselves some high-level poker today. And I did want to ask you, Jonathan, do you watching, does it make you want to hop in and play? You said you haven't really played online. The World Series is going on still for GG with the bracelet events available. Do you miss online? Do you want to go online? Would you be playing online if you could play from your home address, or is it just you're just not into online at the moment?
That's a great question. I would say if you could teleport me to the final table, maybe final 2 tables, I would play online. I ask myself this question. These days, I don't even really ask myself, but maybe 5 or 10 Sundays a year, I say, you should play. And then I say, what if in 6 hours you have an average looking screen in front of you? Do you want to be there? I say, no. Okay, you can't play. You're not allowed.
It is phases, right? I played online so many years. I know you played online. It's so fun. I love it too. But having kids, having restraints to where you live and what you can play, it does make it tougher, and it's a treat, though. I love watching high-level poker. Here we go. 10K final table. Let's dive into the action as we're going to see how this plays out for the $2 million prize pool. 410K going to top spot. I think we will get a look at the final table here in a second. We're going to do a quick look at the payout. So 410K, there it is again, 51K for 9th. And the names we went through, so many different people you could say that have a chance today out of the players, but really having that Barack experience and having that 94 big blind deal there here. I mean, how big an advantage where we got 54 for he's almost double third in 4th place, 5th place, these guys. So he does have a pretty big lead. And we saw the pricing, pretty big advantage. We're going to go dive right in, take a look at the first hand, but how big of a deal is it for Barack to have that kind of lead? Like, do you think he's just a massive favorite, or you don't expect him to win? I mean, it's still hard to win. You still got a lot of poker to play, even with that lead.
Well, Forez is going to get a nice 3-bet spot right off the bat. We'll see on the off chance that he plays a flat or a shove. That will give us some insight into his level of experience. This seems like a pretty clear 3-bet to me, but it would be understandable for a lot of players who would say, wait, this just looks like I have aces. No, he does make the 3-bet, which implies he almost certainly understands there are some hands that he could take and bluff here. He might 3-bet fold the hand like an ace jack O. There's a variety of possibilities, but he does 3-bet, and this will be the first piece of information that trickles down to all these opponents, even before they see that he ends up having pocket aces, is simply that he at least has a potential 3-bet in this spot. Where I think, if you backtrack a couple of years ago, many players would not play any 3-bet there. They would just play a shove, maybe a peculiar flat.
Well, Barack, again, it's sometimes, no one else had anything. That player happened to have aces. So he does go for a super light open, King 5 suited under the gun, 9-handed, but with the chip lead, understandable, and did get a little resistance. So that's also timing, tempo. Are players labeled just to get away, run amok, extend their lead and not have pressure? Or do you get kind of run into real hands or people that play back at you, as we do see him get a walk, which, ace 5 off, that's nice. That's also not always going to happen, but he does get
Maslach there on the button. Another piece of information. I think I like the fold there, but you could imagine some players opening the Queen 8-0 on the button.
Yep. Well, Queen 4, Romnashka repping, got the GG custom logo, friend of GG there. He is going to see if he can take the satellite into a promise payday with 410,000 up top. That is a lot of buy-ins for a 10K. It's a lot more buy-ins when you satellite in. Not sure which he satellited specifically, but assuming it's a 500 or a 1K, does definitely help the ROI when you get in and get it done there. You can see kind of cool feature with the stats popping up there on the screen. I don't know if you were on last time, Jonathan. It's a pretty new feature where you get to see some of their betting statistics, VPIP, pre-flop raise, and then the ATS and 3-bet there for a...
Do you know, are those statistics over this tournament or over their career on GG?
I asked, it's over their career.
Got it.
Yeah, pretty 9%. Definitely, that's on the lower side, and VPIP kind of lower here. Rodrigo, ace 5 suited, runs into a good flop for the Queen 8 suited. However, the nut flush draw and a gut shot, so certainly not going to be folding. See how it wants to play it. Does call, brick turn, ace 5 suited in the lead, but not feeling great. You're kind of either against a draw or behind here, as when he gets called, most likely. I guess there's some some King X or backdoor situations, but the ace 5 suited now, both stacks pretty vulnerable What do you like here?
Expect a check back from Rodrigo. He chose a larger size on the flop. And now, Forez is pretty much at the bottom of his range. He has some lower club draws. This is one of those peculiar spots where he may have one of the rare. Yeah, he does find the check. I was going to say it's tough to check queen high here when you can't win, but he might just have one of those rare combos that bluffs so poorly by having what you want Rodrigo to have. That said, I'm not sure. Is Rodrigo even opening a queen nine suited there? Are there any of his bluffs that we block? Probably not. So, that's a complicated spot for Forez, but he came to the check decision relatively quickly. A couple of data points emerging.
Yeah, a lot of info here, and I'm sure most of the players are watching. Chance the players have a lot. Actually, to be fair, right now, it's one of the peak times for online poker. GG, as we mentioned, WSOP going on. So a lot of bracelet events, big prize pools, daily action. So maybe they got a lot up, but I would imagine if you're at this final table, you're going to want to see the whole cards, whether they listen to the commentary or not. That's not known, but I would say most are watching here as we see everyone. Welcome in. Thank you for joining again.
I mean, they can be watching without listening to the commentary. They can just put us on the mute.
That's what I'm saying. There's that I can't say. I think they're probably got it up, and then if they're listening or not, that's up to them.
Gotcha.
If they are, please say hello. And again, open invite anyone playing the GG Millions. Please reach out. I've had several where people who do want to come on do commentary. Always a treat to have Jonathan on and others, but always looking for players that are participating in this tournament to come in. Barack included. Love to have him on. And Panakov's, I believe, was your first episode or one of yours on the GTO Lab podcast. Is that correct?
Yeah, had him 2 episodes ago.
Love to have him on too. I know he's good friends with Michael as well. I want to have him on. I'd love to have him as a guest. Someone's saying I think he's English, but he speaks you were on the podcast. He seems to speak great English.
Yeah, no, he would do fine. And he would be very entertaining to listen to.
Yeah, Joseph and him I know are close, and Mike Joseph's been on numerous times, and he mentioned that. So I would love to have him on. And again, anyone who's playing this 10K buy-in online, welcome to come in, take a crack at the commentary, have a good time. Ace King opening up Rodrigo. That's gonna fall on that 9% pre-flop opening as loss for. We'll say Forez. I like that. He's in there. King Jack off, gonna get out of the way. And King Deuce suited. Certainly. I'm sorry, King Deuce offsuit. Not so appetizing. Under the gun +1. Does cover.
It's like he may be considering the 3-bet now. Pass.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, good discipline there. I mean, this is King Jack suited under the gun 9-handed. It's gonna open that one too. So far, not a lot of confrontation early, very early in the opening moments here. We don't see really anyone. We see a couple nice starting hands. No one really with anything to play with.
Yeah, Ping here has an interesting decision. I think a lot of people would play 3-bet or fold here, so we'll see what he goes with. Ends up doing the call, and to his great benefit.
Yeah, and tell me how big a difference though the ace deuce when you're facing the min raise like button or cutoff versus the under the gun, because calling with ace deuce is tough, right? You're out of position. It's hard to really realize, win a big pot. You're going to be guessing a lot. So is that something you think it's a huge difference between, the under the gun? You got to respect it a bit, right? I think that's less likely of a time to 3-bet there.
Yeah, we don't want to 3-bet too often, but the ace lows, they unblock the hands Rodrigo is likely to fold. Excuse me, to a 3-bet. We can see Barack is in a silly mood, throwing an 8 out there. But it's just you want to have a blocker in your hand for your 3-bet bluffs. So an ace or a king makes the most sense. And then you want to kind of unblock hands that would fold. So unblocking, say a jack or a 10, that's pretty nice. Versus the under the gun, probably not terribly different whether you have an 8 or a 2.
He's 10, 4-5 suited. Always when you just miss, no one has any pair, any draw, any real backdoor, right? That's pretty rare to have no backdoor draws anywhere at all, really, at flush draws or I guess the 4-5. has a couple, and it's just about as big a miss as you can get. Ace 10 going to capitalize, though. Both players missing. Position powerful, takes it down. Ace 10 off, as we are still no real matchups, no real hands that have sort of interlocked here, as Ace Jack from Adamo, one of the players we want to talk a lot about. We've mentioned him in the beginning, one of the players on the all-time leaderboard, and 8 titles, looking to chase the 10 top for Artur Mortarizian. And this is a player you gave some respect to. You said he's a really tough player, and he's considering ace-6 suited against Adamo.
An interesting dynamic there with Alexander and Romeshka there, which is that of all the suited aces, ace-6 suited along with ace-2 suited tend to be the least aggressive. They just kind of have none of the extra benefits. They don't, ace-6 suited doesn't make the extra straights, but doesn't have that high card value of having, let's say, 2 overs against pocket 7s like an ace-8, ace-9 do. And then pocket 6s kind of is the antithesis, where of all the pocket pairs, whenever you see like a cold 4 from a hand that's not premium, if it's a pocket pair, 6s and 5s tend to light up a lot. And that's the 6s, I think, a product of unblocking suited ace bluffs, because they just don't bluff with ace-6 suited often. So I was kind of hoping we might see a 3-bet from Alexander and then see what the 6s did. This is a powerful shove there from the 7s. He's dominated by a lot of Romeshka's flats. I'm kind of surprised to see this shove, to be honest. Wow. Snaps him too. I'm
7s.
Kind of surprised to see the call.
In great shape, and me too. 7s to 6s. Club is available for a double, or I'm sorry, would be a knockout. It is going to be a king pair, and what a spot, Rodrigo. And that's the thing where you look at his stats, it looks a little bit deceiving. 3-bet 5%, a little bit tighter, and then there you go. Plays a big pot, gets the chips, and now in a really powerful position there, as Romeshka is gonna have to take one off there. Have to think about that one. That's a big moment. Early shift of power with chips, and a big moment for the Brazilian.
Yeah, very aggressive play from everyone. I could have seen folding the 6s from the cutoff seems reasonable. It seems very close in that spot. Could have imagined. I mean, I would have thought Rodrigo would fold the 7s in the small blind. I thought that was real close, where Romeshka's very 9s, 10s, ace queen oriented. I don't know how often that's getting through, but maybe he knows. Romeshka, who I apologize if I'm saying his name wrong. Maybe he's pretty light to call there. Maybe this is all the Adamo effect. Like, hey, everyone thinks Michael's opening a cutoff range, and then it just kind of like spews off from there.
Yeah, 4-6 suited, ace 10 here. 4-6 suited. Be myself, showing us a little moxie with the check raise, taking a nice hand there too, right? Gonna get exactly that. Deny equity. Also has some good backdoor draws and already a pair. I like that aggression.
Yeah, possible that he has Barak not opening pocket 3s from under the gun, which would really help when you've got a 4 in your hand and you say, hey, he's mostly capped at aces. That would kind of give 4-6 suited some license to get particularly aggressive in a spot where he just doesn't really want to play all that much check raise in theory.
Yeah. Well, we've seen, there we go. Starting to heat up a bit. 9s, ace 4 off. Barak will defend. And 9s on the king, queen 4. 2 hearts, has a heart. Better flops, worse flops. But 9s, Adamo thinking how to proceed. He is going to come out with a small bet. 20%.
Yeah. Options for Barak, bottom pair does produce as a check raise, and he goes for fold. You could imagine all 3 options there, but even Adamo, you would imagine, is going to, off what was that, 17 big blinds, have a pretty snug early position range. That ace is by no means a turn card that Barak is going to want to see against the hands Michael has there.
Yeah. Constant decisions. Here we go. 6s again, late position. We see a flat. 6s versus ace king. These are always fun. The 2 overs, razor, and now the 6s sort of has position, but you're sort of guessing in a way. It's nice to be in position. So 9, 10, 5, 2 spades. Ace king does have a spade. Starts with a check and a smallish bet for ace king. They're fairly deep calls. 8 comes. No help to ace king. Doesn't pick up a spade for those extra outs, as 6s are in the middle here. Probably think exactly. Sometimes, you know, you're going to be good a decent amount. You're going to be behind a fair amount. See if he wants to do any betting or just check. Does bet.
Pretty aggressive line here. You know, when you make a bet like this on the turn, you can imagine some of it is to kind of freeze him with his ace jack, something like that, you know, some spades or whatnot. He's going to check back the river. Or there's another possibility that he's going to be very aggressive and he's trying to get a ping to fold some hands like a king 10 of hearts by the river. Definitely showing us the aggressive line there. Had a couple options. Another aggressive open here from Barack. This is really having a lot of pressure to exert.
Adamo, 4-5 off coming to play here.
Fighting.
Almost 1,000 watching right now. Welcoming everyone. Let us know where you're watching from in the world. Appreciate you guys. See some Brazilian fans out there. See some new names and familiar faces. And I want you to welcome the giveaway today, the $100 on GG, as well as we have the competition that we have automatically. You'll be in if you hit the thumbs up, subscribe for the 50 or 100 at the end, but a $100 GG ticket on GGPoker. I'll get that link. I'll put it in actually. Just drop it in. Save you guys a step here. There it is. What do you think strategy-wise, John? Let's talk. Actually, an interesting hand. I want to ask Twitter strategy for the giveaway because it's actually interesting. And not to give it away because I know you think outside the box, but we're going to see this hand real quick play out, and then I'll ask you on this because you got to guess the top three. And the first person to guess the top three gets the ticket. If you get, it doesn't have to be the perfect order, but the top three. So I guess, you know, you kind of want to throw a variant in there, right? Otherwise, you're not going to probably get it or not be the first. But here we go. 4-5, 2-9, 2-9, absolute airball. 4-5 does have the winner if can get to showdown.
Yeah, close spot. Very reasonable for him to imagine he needs to bluff. This is, you know, kind of bottom of the range. I could imagine seeing Adamo shoving here or making a huge bet. You know, we don't imagine he defends the 3-4, 4-2, 3-2 unless it's suited. That's very few combos. So what does he have worse than a 5 with a bad kicker? I think he's going to go for a bluff here, and he's trying to imagine what size. He's certainly looking to produce a fold from at least a jack. Okay, goes for a small size. So yeah, he probably just targeting a jack there, not anticipating that he could get a queen to fold, just looking to fold everything from 6s through jack X. And I think that's probably going to succeed at a pretty high clip, especially because if I'm Barack, I'm not sure how many 5X hands Michael's defending there. The other product of his small size, I think, is recognizing that both Barack's super wide range pre plus Barack checking the turn means he's not really needing to fold Barack off too many super quality hands. There's probably not many ace X plus.
Yeah, we see Be Myself opening up the 7-10 suited. I mean, he's got a huge stack. It's not like a crazy open, right? But satellite winner, haven't seen him on here really and going, you know, opening last hand. So shows that he's willing to play some poker today.
Got it. Yeah, I missed that. That's pretty important. Another loose open here, and yeah, certainly easy from our shoes, but if you're 4-res, not loving it, but does look good.
Yeah, it's one of those where you're kind of like you feel good about Barack probably that you're not going to get necessarily called. You just know there's other people that can wake up, and even so, you don't want to flip or be the first one to be at risk really. So we did see the 7s to 6s already for a double. 50K min payout, 51K all the way up to 410. No deal making available. And Barack, what do you think about Barack? He does have, you know, this is what we're used to seeing. He was chip leader, and he did get to the left of a player who has a lot of chips, second place, and less experience. So that was pretty predictable. I don't remember if it was you. It might have been Mike. I think it was you, where there was a week where the chip leaders was not on the direct left of the chip leader, the second stack, and it was a little bit interesting.
Yeah. If we go to this hand, Rameshka, that's a really light flat there from the small blind. That stands out to me between those 6s calling off so quickly against Rodrigo for 22 bigs or so, albeit a squeeze shove. And then this flat, yeah, he's only facing a 2X, but he's got a fair amount of pressure on himself still. You can see him and the 3 fellas to his right are all kind of clustered, and he's gambling it up out of position against a really tight range. In this case, it's only going to go well for him, but So they check down to the river. Looks pretty good from everyone to this point. Tough to imagine Rodrigo beats many hands in the small blind flatting there. Yeah, looks good. Rock always giving the free info to the table. Looks like Michael Adamo open. I don't think many of the other guys are going to open that Jack 10-0 cut or hijack, but he might have had the intel here with the disconnected button. Oh, he's back. Oh, it's 21 seconds in his clock. Okay, never mind. That was a disconnect clock, I guess.
The chess clock, everyone gets 15, so everyone's still pretty healthy there, but there is a disconnect there. So he's got, looks like that's not his actual clock, that's a disconnect.
Gotcha. Yeah, he's got somewhat attractive hand for a 3-bet here. It was for fold. You wonder if the internet connection might play into that. If you're thinking, hey, 20%, I lose internet at some point, that really diminishes the value of your 3-bet. You know, there's a online tip for everyone. If you get 3-bet by the guy who's disconnecting in and out, I would tend to be a little careful and expect that he has it a little bit more often than not, unless he's this cagey dude who has such control over his internet that he's creating false tells.
Right. Yeah. That's
same thing. If somebody just rips like 40 big blinds on you when they're like disconnecting in and out, just imagine that this guy can still have aces and kings and hands he would never shove for 40 because he's just worried if he 3-bets that he's going to be out of there.
That is definitely a good tip. As Jack 10, both players have a similar-ish hand where they have a pair and a gut shot. The ace comes on the turn. Adamo. Dom a little more quality, right? He's in position. He's got the better hand, better draw. So he's got a lot going on here. Although at the moment, both players not going to be super thrilled. I mean, the King 9 has a key card here, but let's see if Adamo's going to continue. Does have the best hand. Adamo takes a lot of time in general, I've noticed. I mean, he also may just be playing. It's during peak online, right? We mentioned, I said again, WSOP online running, I think, till through, or is it September 30th? It was like, it's for a while here. I think August 18th to September 30th. That's right. So, I mean, he's probably got a lot of tables and a lot of stuff happening right now. And most of these players are, I would imagine, playing a schedule. But look, you make a final table in the 10K. It's Tuesday. Maybe take down your table volume, your load a little bit, realizing there's a lot to play for here, a lot of money. And you probably do carve out a little extra room and a little extra focus for this. But again, Adamo, I don't know how he, I always think that's one of the most interesting questions. There he goes. He picks up that pot on for players, high stakes players, to ask is like how often they, what their table setup is, you know, like what their screens and allocation, if they're traveling and monitor. Cause it's like, you know, if you're playing 25Ks, 10Ks, 5Ks online across different sites versus playing like 30 tables or 20 tables of $100 to $500 tournaments, you know, how much does it take your focus down? How much time and effort can you put on the bigger stuff? And do you have systems in place, you know, as you go along, your stuff's in a certain section? And, you know, I mean, like, did you have any tricks online when you were playing a lot of tables, and what was the max tables you ever played?
Yeah, max tables I ever played, if I were to guess, it'd probably be around 14, and I probably shouldn't have been doing that. Heads up sit and goes was my bread and butter, and it would be very different if I was playing multiple opponents or the same opponent. As long as they're working under the same handicap and, you know, restrictions that you are, I kind of like that, where you're both going to be a little bit sloppy. I love to 4-table the same player. But if, you know, I would not play, I wouldn't be Isildur 4-tabling 4 different opponents. That is, you know, a whole different ball game if you're devoting just a quarter of your bandwidth where everyone else is devoting 100%. But for online tournaments, yeah, you really want to manage your load properly. And it's not just simply, am I not misclicking and am I not timing out? That's the absolute bare minimum. That's almost certainly not, you know, how you want to judge what you should be doing unless you're playing micro stakes. At micro stakes, it's maybe not as important. Maybe the volume is super important, but if you're trying to improve as a player and take good notes and understand exploits, you need to have, you know, some awareness of what's going on even when you're not in the hand. It's like, be myself. You know, if you do decide to stab, this combo on the turn, it's probably not to give up on the 2 of clubs. You know, he unblocks hearts. He unblocks, I guess, a king 10. Oh, he does give up. You know, you can say he blocks queen king and queen 10. But yeah, kind of a strange stab and give up, in my opinion.
How big of a deal would it be having 9-8 suited there of spades versus queen 9, and then like you mentioned, unblocking like queen 10 or queen king? Does that make that big a difference?
Probably not all that much, but the queen, it's probably a below average card to be holding.
Well, be myself, he's in the mix, and Roman Ashka has also shown us willing to play here. 2 3s, later position, going to come in opening. We've seen, as you mentioned, we have enough kind of a sample now to know he's a little more, he's going for it. He's playing to win today. He's satellited in, going for the score as 9 still remain, and he is on the still plenty of chips. I mean, it's interesting distribution today. No one really seems that short right now, right? It's no, and also there's 2 4 million stacks, but pretty healthy play today. Should be seeing a lot of play.
These two could put on a show, you know. Romaneshka is not afraid at all. He seems to be playing for the win. Be myself, same. You know, this is a kind of suspect open from the hijack, and Be myself had the option, 3-bet or call, does go for the defend. But this is one of those spots where if you are going to play the threes, especially if people, you know, maybe don't expect that you have any under pairs to this board, pretty cool spot to get super aggressive. Certainly not the time walking into top pair, but if I did find myself in this spot as Romaneshka, I could see myself barreling off pretty frequently.
Two satellite winners. The 2 satellite winners today battling here. King 9, 2 3s. King 9 does make top pair out of position. 3s seeing if he's going to continue to keep the lead. Now has a 3 or 3 only to win, but of course that's not how poker works. There is bluffing. There is things can happen. Crazy stuff goes on. People make moves, and
he's got a nice spot to go ahead and bluff. You just start to clear out any of these 9, 10, queen 9 that called you, probably get rid of a lot of ace 10. If Be Myself did defend ace queen, which seems possible, that may find a fold here on the turn. Certainly Be Myself did not turn any flush draws. No 9, 10 of, you know, hearts, 6 of hearts might, you know, find its way to continuing. But I really like a continue. If I were Romaneshka, I would be barreling and losing some more money here. Let's go for check. And now if you're Be Myself, it looks like a pretty good spot for a small to medium bet. We're almost certainly not beat, but facing king 10, possible. Yeah, he goes very small, goes quarter pot, it looks like. And, you know, this is very tough to not pay off with 3s. I don't see, you know, wow, insta folds pretty much. And, you know, you're beating every 9, 10, queen 9, queen 10. Probably doesn't bluff ace 10 at that size, but that's either, you know, believing that Be Myself is just not going to use the block size with a bluff, or possibly underestimating how many combos of bluffs are there. I would expect it's the former. And in this case, saves himself 115K.
Yeah, good point. Roman Ashka, man, he's mixing it up.
He's thinking about this queen 10 maybe.
He's in the mix for sure.
So Maslak's going to have an interesting spot here. One of the kind of hands that screams 3-bet bluff. Ace 10-0 at a lot of final tables. Does go for fold. So far, pretty tight table. I think there's been a lot of, you know, hands where you'd see somewhere between a 10 and 60, 70% 3-bet. And I don't know if we've seen a single one of them actually 3-bet. Goes for it. Very nice.
Yeah, Prez for Rez in there. Mixing it, 3s. 3's been a hot hand today. We saw aces right off the get with him 3-betting Barak's King 5 suited under the gun open as, not a lot of collisions. There was like a stretch. I mean, I remember 1 or 2 shows where it's like aces and kings and queens to jacks, and there's just all these like crazy hands to start. And here today, though, the first call it half hour, we've really not seen a cooler. We haven't really seen big hands. We saw a fake cooler, 7s to 6s. That was our big all in, where that didn't necessarily, could have played out a lot of different ways. But at the moment, not a ton of quality hands.
Have we ever heard the conspiracy theorists go off and say the RNG is rigged for no action? This site is just the most boring. They rig it so nothing ever collides. We're all getting down to 7 big blinds.
I haven't heard that one. Today we were a half hour in, and
I haven't heard that one either.
Seen that crazy mashup of hands. But Jack deuce suited going to come in and come attack in the small blind versus big blind. There is Adamo covers slightly, picks up the pot, 30-60K. Shows us his aggression. 2 9s under the gun here. Again, not much to tango with. Even the 10-8 suited in the big blind, if you switch the small and big blind, call. But now 3-7 going to fold.
Just wanted to have a proper funeral. There it is, Jack 9 suited.
That's my hand, man. That is my favorite hand. It's one of those no pressure spots. You either you hit it or you kind of don't. If you miss the flop, it's not a big deal. You just kind of whatever. Here we go. All right, so this is like a middling one, and this actually, as I was saying, this is tough because now you are in a spot where you got showdown, you got a decent hand. Your opponent, who's shown that he's willing to play a wide range and be a little bit tricky, does flop top pair with the modest kicker. So this could be interesting in the turn. Ooh,
yeah, Brock had a pretty natural bet, check, decide river. The 10 changes things up in the sense that he's still going to check, I think, nearly always here. There's very little purpose to a bet, maybe pressuring a low suited ace. But yeah, had this run out, let's say 4-5, then he beats all those Broadway combos, the king 10, king queen, queen 10 hands. That 10 really limits the chances that Romeshka has a bluff here. What would he be bluffing with? A 4-5 suited that shouldn't have flatted pre, taking a 10 and finding that really narrow bluff. Brock's going to have a lot of trouble finding a call, especially for half pot, but I think even quarter or third. I think Brock probably knew what he was doing instantly and is just taking time for posterity. Doesn't want to give away his full thought process when his cards are face up.
Yeah, it's been, I mean, I think it's been a little bit, again, we said we've seen a sort of tighter table or sort of quiet, been not a lot of big hands though. There's not been a lot of big matchup of hands. There's not really been so far too much collision situations. And here we go. Loss prob for Rez, Jack Queen off.
All right.
Is one of the shorter stacks.
Hear me out. The people like blood, right? We're here in the Coliseum. Everyone wants action. They want to keep the flat payouts for whatever reasons. What about a bonus if you win 3 hands in a row, or if you're a short stack and you win 2 hands in a row? There's some sort of like 1K bonus coming your way. Let's mess with the ICM in some way, GG.
Well, that's that idea, that type of idea. I think we've seen the mystery bounding. We've seen different formats. The KO tournaments, progressive, a lot of different variations of poker. I think there is something to be said about putting in a little variations and making people have to spin the wheel and think about things.
Yeah, I'm surprised with this flat. He, on the one hand, he'll probably induce some squeezes, and some light action because he's flatted loose. But that looked like a pretty perfect hand, a 3-bet call against Alexander there, cutoff versus hijack. I don't think Alexander was going to put it in with the ace-9, but ace-queen suited, I'm not so sure that I'm trying to save chips at that point. Tight fold from Maslach, but I like it, recognizing the snug flat range, even from a player maybe playing some extra hands here. And Alexander's check by no means meant that he was, had less than a king at that point. He can still have some very good hands. So nice fold by Maslach.
Well, again, ace jack suited, not too much going on. There's a 6-7 beat myself showing us that he likes to he likes to fire and he likes to play. So we'll see if he's going to come in. Mazlock, king 10 off in the small blind. Not typically a hand you're going to see someone defend or get involved with there, as 6-7 off does cover. Chip leader, as a matter of fact, does fold there. Okay.
Tight fold.
Yeah, maybe implied odds, right? The million stack doesn't seem too enticing.
Sure. That being said, one of the things that allows you to defend wide as the bigger stack is that the opponent is just not incentivized in the normal way to bluff it off or take loose lines against you. So you do get to over-realize. Look like a close spot for Be Myself there to make a fold.
All right, pretty interesting one. Ace 10, king queen, 2 healthy stacks. King queen, 2 overs. The 3, 4, 10 rainbow board doesn't make a meal of it. Just gets out of the way there. Could have saw some potential creativity in that spot. Brock
Facing a
didn't
big
think
bet.
long about that.
That was a big size for 10-4-3 there. His hand certainly wants to shovel chips in. Be interesting to note, would Mazlock have used that bet with some of the bluffs? Would a queen jack or a jack 8 suited have found that, or was it imbalanced towards the best value? This one looks a lot more defendable for Rez here. I think the 3s, he was shorter and facing the hijack. Yes, it's a Damo, but this is UTG.
Whoa,
yeah,
Adamo.
don't love
His
that.
reputation might have got him to get that jam there. He's under the gun, though. Kings to 7s. They say it's always coming. Let's see. Turn clean, 2 outs, 1 to come, or we will see our 9th place finisher here. It is an 8. Very close, but no cigar. That is a knockout. For Rez, GG Austria goes down. Adamo gets richer. And there we said 7th place today. Didn't come in as one of the powerful stacks, but now he's got a cool 3 mil and sits in 3rd. So there he goes. Doesn't take long. 3 of 8. And maybe his reputation to get a jam there under the gun. I don't know if 7s is just going to always rip it in there, but does take that line there.
Yeah, I might have gotten Adamo to fold 8s for what it's worth, but 7s seem like a pretty nice hand to defend. But yeah, it's tough with under 20 blinds and a pocket pair. Goes for the nice light 3-bet here. I like what we're seeing, and really tough decision for Rodrigo. He knows Be Myself is willing to mix it up, but to this point, he hasn't really taken the 3-bet spots. I probably find myself holding this ace jack O a lot. Probably going back and forth between 4-bet and fold. Or maybe he's already made his mind up. There you go. Goes for the 4-bet.
Be Myself, man. I mean, this is pretty strong from Rodrigo, who's been on. Again, we mentioned that it's interesting when you're tighter stats, but then you just find these aggressive. He takes the 7 spot, gets it. He takes in a hand ace jack. It's modest and just pulls the trigger. I mean, you got to give him credit. Really,
great 4-bet. Yeah, see that quick fold from Alexander with King Queen O in the small blind. Big difference there between him and Romeshka. And in this spot, far less pressure on Alexander as well, and still just kind of snap folded the King Queen small blind versus under the gun. So very contrasting styles between these two players next to each other.
King 8-0. King 8-0, King 8-0, Adamo time. There you go. Starts kicking it up. Ace 6 off. These are the ones you talk about maybe where you could raise, or ace 6 off. It's sort of, it's not a great hand to defend. Here we go. Good example. You're out of position. Tough player.
We could see a clash here, Ace of diamonds. He's got that card between the 5 and the 8. There's some backdoor possibilities. Facing the min, you can see call or check raise. Certainly not going to fold this hand. Pretty quick call. It's a turn that would be a little better for the big blinds range. Still has more 6-7, 4-6, 4-7 suited possibly.
Yeah, I mean, Adamo here, the board, he doesn't have any diamonds. He's got a pretty strong kicker on his 8, but he does decide to check back 6-7. I guess he just, yeah, he's sort of playing cautious, knows he's gonna have the best hand a lot, but he just decides to play it coy, not get into a weird spot. And here he goes. He makes king 8 now. Ace 6 does have that key diamond. Board is paired though, so
I don't think he snap check to just check fold. So, you know, when Adamo fires here, is there a better hand in all of poker to check raise than ace 6 with the ace of diamonds? Tough to figure. I mean, if he's going to play, you know, if he doesn't check raise here, or if he snap folds especially, tells us a lot about how he's playing, or maybe just how he's playing against Adamo. One of the factors that some of the best players in the world really play off of is when someone's not willing to bluff you, it makes the game a lot easier. So we will see the response to the bet, and I can't imagine Michael's going to find a check from the cutoff here. He just has too many bluffs. What does Eping do with the nut flush blocker? The 6-7 block is pretty irrelevant at this point. It's kind of just a neutral card, I would guess. But, you know. And what would you do with the nut flush? Let's say you have ace 6 of diamonds. You're going to check raise, but what size? You are facing 2/3. The only hands that beat you a rare, pocket 8s, checking the turn maybe. Wow, goes for call. You know, I can understand it to some degree. I don't think Adamo is going to be bluffing an ace 10 there or something like that. But it does tell me there's a good chance he's not playing any bluffs against Adamo, or at least at that point wasn't. And this is bad news for Michael. Unless Romeshka finds one of these fancy flats, and he does not. Is that 5-10?
Whoa. And I mean, listen, Adamo also, like, yeah, there's, it's just, he's shocked when he gets a hand as good as queens. He's willing to play the king 8-0. He got queens and he's getting cooler here, but this is big size.
Yeah, I mean, you're not folding if you're Adamo, but you're trying to make sense of what you're seeing here. This is such a quick, huge 3-bet. Probably has not seen the ace. Okay, he goes for it. And now Romeshka's in the slow roll.
Is he really? Is this guy gonna really? Is he just giving him the business, or is he
it's a show
tabling? Is this a slow roll? If you think it's a slow roll, there you go. He calls it. Aces to queens, maybe too much time. There's a look at their stats on the side. It is.
What did he do with the RNG?
Deuce. Could be that 9 in the turn, 2 outs, 1 to come, or else a big pot going the way Romeshko, and that is no paint. That is no peel, no fear. 4.2 mil, and he is now chip leader of the tournament with 8 remaining. And Adamo just got chips, just discarded them to the left, and we've seen some action. There you go. We were just saying not a lot of coolers. We got one there. We have got one there.
I don't want coolers. I want blood. I want, the fancy 3-bets. I want the borderline check raise. No more coolers. Especially don't do Mikey like that.
What a moment. The satellite winner, satellite in 4.2 chip leader, playing for 410. Got the lead right now. That is a nice spot.
Yeah, how about that snap 5-10 on the button? That was like before he even got to him.
Oh, mystery hand, John. Treat to have him in the box. One of the all-time best poker players in the world. We got him as a guest today, John. What we got? 6-9 suited.
6-9 suited. I think he's just going to fold.
Hold on.
I was going to say.
Oh, there it is. I was going to say, what's happening? That was going to be a crazy.
We've got a big production error.
And ace jack suited. Maybe there's another.
Okay, there's someone else, so we're not going to. Yeah.
Hand. I've never seen a double.
I was like, if Alexander opens, it's a missed click. I was going to be very interested in that 6-9 of clubs getting an entangle.
Well.
All right. So we do have one guy that we don't know. Is that how it typically is? Is it one that we don't know and one others that we do?
Yes, I believe, to be fair, I think that we're supposed to cover one of the other hands. I'm not sure. We'll see if Be Myself gets involved or not. This might be a.
Got it.
There might be a might not be much of a mystery at this particular hand. That's what I'm thinking is happening. But ace jack
All
suited,
good.
ace queen off. Both players missed. Both player Broadway jaws, and ace jack suited looks a little more fun, right? Got the back door. Well, that is going to be the nuts for ace queen, and does check it over.
In fairness, it's what, like 4 a.m. in Korea, right?
It's late in different parts of there's a lot happening. There's a lot. We listen, it's not always going to be perfect, guys. That mystery's out the door. We'll have more though. We're going to have more today. I think we'll have a few more mystery hands and give Mr. Jaffe a shot at the calling it what is going on.
I feel confident on this one.
Yeah, it's
wow. That's a healthy bet and interesting spot if you're Rameshka trying to figure this one out. You know, you do block the ace queen. Michael's got some club draws. He could be getting aggressive with just like an ace nine. Yeah, I can find that call. And on this river, I mean, Rameshka might pay him off. Don't see much reason for a check from Adamo. I think, you know, he's going to probably put it in. This is a river where all of his bluffs bricked. Depends how many ace X did he decide to turn into a bluff. Does he have like ace nine with a club in there? Does he ever take a hand like ace eight and start bluffing that? Would have these chips transfer back very quickly. So leaves himself
he goes
something.
for the whole juggler, unblocks all the pairs. He's hoping maybe two pairs, some kind of king queen, something like that just maybe doesn't oblige, doesn't want to believe. But I mean, ace jack suited. This is Romanashka's curious though. He's thinking about it.
Yeah, I think if you're Romanashka and you're playing a relatively tight flat range from the hijack, you're not feeling all that high up compared to the sets and two pairs you could have in this spot, plus your own straights. Nice fold. But if you are wide with your flats, if you're, you know, ever calling a hand like pocket nines on the turn, then you can feel like ace jack's maybe not the worst hand to call with, considering you don't have the ace of clubs. But yeah, I think that's a good fold, and that would be pretty heroic as a flat or as a call on the river.
Yeah, it's a lot of interesting hands. I just love. To me, this is the most fun way to review with watching hands, getting to see the visuals on it. I know Octopi Poker does a really cool thing. I had Lucky Chewy on my podcast. A lot of respect for him. He's gonna be a guest coming up here on the show, and I know that's something I was asking him if they could take online hands and get like the GGMillion take hands, since it's sort of the same principle, right? Where it's like live hands that they make into a review where you can kind of break it down and get to see. And I think that's something that, you know, there's be nice online too. I think it wasn't ready or wasn't something they did, but they're working on a variety of things. Have you used that Octopi Poker at all? I know they sponsor a lot of stuff now on the poker.
I haven't yet, but Chewy's fantastic.
Yeah, he is. He has been around forever too. Just seems to be always in the mix, always playing the biggest stuff, and just not one of those guys you don't hear anything negative about. Don't hear anything people saying, hey, close. Like this guy had a bad day. Even it's sort of almost like wonder if you start talking about humans and aliens. It just seems like he's always in a good mood and just friendly and yeah, one of the good guys for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think now, I mean, there's some big shows coming up too. We're gonna have a couple specials. The main event, 5K WSOP main event, that is running now. Flight's already going. That'll be a big show on the 24th of September, and then I think it's October 2nd or 3rd, whichever Tuesday it is. We'll have also a huge GGMillion one, very special edition in there. So gonna be a lot of big events coming up. What about you, live poker? What's on your schedule coming in the future? Do you have anything locked in?
Yeah, I'm going to go to Triton in Monaco November 1st. That'll be fun.
Blinds are up. You can see upper left of your screen. The 20 hand until levels go up. Obviously, as less players, goes faster because the hands go quicker. The blinds go up faster, but as it plays right now, still 8-handed.
Mm-hmm. Here's a spot. Whisper call. So Rameshka's been pretty consistent outside of those aces. You know, he's flatting very light, but he doesn't seem to be going for the 3-bets, whether it's the ace queen suited, the ace 6 suited. He's opted for flat. Even that king jack O that was a loose VPIP. Possible confrontation here for Rodrigo and Maslach. Nothing for Rameshka.
Yeah, pretty big whiff. Queen 10 got board coverage there. Got the open ended with the 10 that is good. Doesn't know that though, out of position. To multiple players, difficult hand to play. 7 pairs the board. Again, no one with anything. Queen 10 with a sort of best situation here, and does go ahead and lead. Nice. I like this lead for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
Not many sevens going to be involved there, right? And he's in the big blind. He's also going to have 10-8. He's going to have, he does have a key spade and a good kind of bluffing hand.
A little too early position for Adamo to consider the 3-bet there. Does snap fold the ace 8.
Do you take, what do you find to be when you watch tables like this? I always like audience, again, great show, great people, over 1,200 on. What are things they can do to talk with other players? Would you timestamp something where you're not sure it looks funny to go talk to someone who is in their peer group or poker group to talk about? What would be the most effective way to study to take something away from this when you're unsure of what's happening and you want to know more?
Yeah. Literally everything that you wouldn't have done or don't think you would have done that someone does at the table. Whether you think they're a better player or a worse player than you. Let's take this all in. We'll come back to it.
It's big all in here. Yeah, Jack's ace king needs help. He hasn't really got involved today. Player you gave a lot of respect to. River, no good. Says good game, good luck. There it is. Barak going to get the knockout. We are down to 7. A Titan, one of the tough players goes out. Austria not having a great shakeout today. A couple knockouts. Brazil still in the mix. I got to get that stat, man. If someone at home, maybe I'll give a bonus too if you want to take that on and look through the history of the GGMillions and look at the amount of Brazilians and Austrian players and representation. It is strong. There's times where there's 4 or 5 players with the Austria flag at the final table out of 9. Today they are going to go out, but they're there again, and seen a pretty international crowd today in terms of flags and representation as we are 7-handed. And Barak now, finds his way back. Here he goes. He's chip leader again, and he is in control. A few people got knocked out, and we've seen some chips sort of pass along. Rodrigo off to a good start as one of the shorter stacks. He also has 3 mil sitting pretty, but a lot of play today. No real short stacks.
Sure. Couple adjustments happening now. We've got a couple of players have left the table, so the ICM pressure on, let's say, Epping and Maslach is, less. If there's ever been pressure on Adamo, there's less pressure on him. But additionally, the ante has decreased a bit. So those two things kind of work against each other. If you're one of these shorties, you're going after a little bit less money every time you enter the pot with the ante being smaller, but your busting is not as negative as it was a moment ago. There's just less people that aren't you to get knocked out.
Big possible flop here. Big thing. Queen 9 suited, backdoor spades. The nut flush though comes in on the turn. This is sort of, still for Adamo. This guy also, be myself, I'd say he's done some advertising. He's been in there. He's mixed it up. He's played a little bit wider range. He's shown, he's willing to get in pots. So I think that, yes, the diamond arrives, but Adamo with top pair, button versus big blind isn't just going to immediately be bowing out of the way.
That being said, of all the diamonds, this one hits Michael in a pretty good way, in that it's the 7 of diamonds, 7, 4, 5, maybe to a lesser extent 2 interact with Michael's range better than they do be myself. So whether facing a raise here from Be Myself or had he checked and faced a bet. I'm not saying Adamo's going to find a fold just yet, but it's concerning. This is not like Be Myself is barreling on the 10 of diamonds where he's got so many good looking bluffs and he can put a lot of pressure on, Michael's 6, his 3, his pocket 4s, 5s, that kind of hand. So when he does face a raise, which we're probably expecting in this spot, it should be concerning. There's not, he has a higher threshold for a raise. He needs probably to have a diamond or at least the rare 4 or 5 in his hand to find a bluff in the spot where, like I said, if the turn was say a 10, maybe a 9, a jack, there's just so many more possibilities that don't even involve a diamond. So Adamo is already very concerned. This is a spot where, his hand is a pure bluff catcher that's not going to improve. Great fold. And that would have been very tough had he checked. I think Adamo is, he's one of the more experienced players in a lot of lines that other players don't pursue, but donking the turn is less familiar for a lot of people. You can make a lot of pretty colossal mistakes when you don't know what you're doing there, but that's an avenue that Adamo has traveled many times. And I think in addition to understanding how it looks at equilibrium, he has gained a lot of experience in terms of how different player types are going to react to that. I think even though his turn donk was a very small size, and it should be played not too differently than had he checked the turn, a lot of players don't actually respond like it's just a tiny block that's more similar to a check than a bet. They tend to respond inadvertently, exploitatively.
Really well said, and exactly. And he does find a way to lose not a lot of chips, gets off the hook there with his top pair, does make the right decision, and rock Jack 9 button.
And again, if we talk about ping and the ace-6 that he chose not to bluff against Adamo, and I'm not going to say that was a mistake per se, but that's probably something that Adamo is very familiar with. A lot of players who his image makes him someone that people don't want to bluff, so it allows you to make some pretty big folds. People tend to remember the big calls you make more than that queen 9 of spades is not going to be when Michael Adamo's in the Poker Hall of Fame, they're not going to read that hand off, but the sicko calls that you make and the crazy bluffs do. And look at that flat from Romeshka in the small blind, and nice shove here from the ace-2 suited. Looks like it's going to get through. Is that 1.6?
Maybe 1.
I don't think I'm calling if I'm Barack there. And yeah, Romeshka really juicing the pot here with that small blind flat. I don't know if ping is going to make that shove if he hadn't seen, let's say, the King Jack O flat. But by the same token, Romeshka's pretty dangerous in that he's probably calling off with some low to medium pocket pairs as he did with the 6s against Rodrigo right out the gate. Some dynamics at work, definitely.
Absolutely. Questions in chat. How often does tournament run? Weekly, almost every week. Once in a while a break, or there's a special event where it goes for 2 weeks and then we have a even bigger FT. But yeah, this is 10K, plays on Sundays with the final table pausing and then resuming on Tuesday. So yeah, treat to see a 10K online, and again 200 plus entries here and some special events going on with the World Series of Poker. I think let's get it right. But August 18th, September 30th, a lot of buy-ins, a lot of special events, a lot of big prizes, guarantees, and bracelets being awarded on GG. 33 bracelets.
Adamo's open here and the hijack is real loose. And knowing that Romeshka is playing too many hands in the cutoff, he still does this. Tells me that he really thinks some combination of these 4 players behind him is going to drastically under 3-bet him. Because I do think, Adamo is taking ICM into his equation, his thought process to some degree, maybe less so than the other players. Maybe he's less of a believer and thinks future game is being underrated. That's a reasonable point of view. Or maybe he just likes to win a lot also. But still, this is a pretty loose open with this stack into the stacks behind him, and knowing that Romeshka is not going to back down with anything that's remotely playable in the cutoff. So I think he's really expecting ping to way under 3-bet the button, maybe Maslak to under 3-bet the big blind, if I'm to make a case for how you find the open with 7-10 suited in a spot where probably 10-8 suited is a pure fold at equilibrium.
Well, speaking of 10-8 suited, that is what Maslach has in the big blind. He has made a 10 high flush on the turn. So
bad barreling hand for Michael. You don't want the spades. You don't want the 7. This is one of the toughest, one of the last hands with no showdown value you would expect to see bluff the turn. So very tough, even if Maslach finds the tricky check here on the river, which I don't think I would. I'm always putting some amount of money in, but I'm not sure even Adamo was going to fire the river there.
Nice pot, important pot. Makes his hand, gets a 2.5 million stack now through to the small blind. And again, the chips, 5 million for Brock, chip leader. No one seems that short. 70K big blind. Well, Madamo's off 20 blinds now with 1.4 is our shortest stack. So yeah, a little deeper today, a little more play, and we are healthy as we are over an hour into the show.
I'll get back to the question you'd asked me earlier, if you don't mind, about what players could do to get better. The time stamping, as you suggested, I think is great. Have some organization to how you want to get better. Another thing is understand that a tournament is a story. Everyone, we're not just pumping out storylines for entertainment value. There really is something to, hey, what have we seen from Rameshka? What have we seen from ElkY? What have we seen from Be Myself? These guys that maybe have a little less experience at these big final tables, we're trying to piece together their approach, understand their psychology, what matters to them, and maybe then kind of coordinate that with things that we know about other players who play in similar manner. You might get heads up with one of these guys at 25 BB depth, and you are trying really quickly with almost no information about their heads up game to imagine how they might play. So with that in mind, when you do these timestamps, there's something to be said for the old skeptics of like 10 years ago who really didn't analyze many hands and were just kind of experience and flow people, which is, to them, context was everything. If you weren't at the table for the 3 hands prior, what does it matter what you saw? I don't think that that's accurate. You can learn plenty of things without context, but if you want to be a really top-notch player, you want as much to contextualize the information as possible. So maybe going through things chronologically. You see someone like a Barak, got a close spot here for Adamo. This is,
Man, he's a guy that goes for wins. He is going to call and find a nice spot, gets the low ace. It is suited ace 4, ace 9 off, gets the ace 6 king flop. Good start. Wow. Lightning 4-ball turn there. That is a Barak bank. Can he get it done? And he holds on the river. That is good game. And man, look, that it's just crazy when you get punished, but he does call. He makes, assuming the ace 4 suited, that's a big enough of a gap of an advantage. But tell me about the ace 9 in a vacuum ICM. What do you, is that, that's close?
I'd have to think about that. I was mid rant and hadn't even put it together, but how many big blinds was that? It was like
that
22 or something.
20, yeah.
20. Okay, 20. I'm looking around the other stacks. I would imagine it's a fold for ICM. I would think, there's enough of these shorties. He's probably something like just over 60% against Barak's range there, right around that. That's probably not enough of a profit margin for chips to want to make that gamble. But again, there's something to be said for a belief in future game, and that some of these ICM sims might not have enough weighting on what you'll be able to do if you do make that double up. And especially if you're Michael Adamo, there's something to be said too for who you are and how you manage that chip lead. If he thinks that people are not going to play back against his really loose opens, then how do you find that in a sim? You're going to have to just keep node locking hand after hand. I think that's where someone like Adamo has just great intuition and feel for how far you can color outside the lines and still be making a lot of profit. This is an interesting collision here. If you're Barak, wow, snap folds the 8s. He just says ElkY has not put in chips very often today. Pocket 8s are flipping at best if I get it in, and I can be in a lot of 20-80 spots. I'm going to maintain. And there's something to be said for that, because when you think about how wide his open was here, 6-handed with this chip lead, he's not defending it very much, at least against ElkY. So if I somehow were epping and I had this information now, I would try to capitalize by over 3-betting Barack, and maybe the others have a similar impression.
Yeah, 6.5 now, extending. Start of the day chip leader, 6-handed, doing the really good spot. And then actually the second stack still directly to the right, be myself. So the play out on the start of the day, 1 and 2 still right where we started. We've seen a little bit of movement there. Saw a fast start from Rodrigo, get that double 7s to 6s. Romanashka's having a fun day. He's definitely ping-ponged around. Got a stack still sitting fairly healthy in the shakeout, and he's definitely gone for it. Ace-7 putting pressure on 9s. This is not a super fun spot for
the 7 is unblocking a lot of the folds. You unblock hands like Ace-9, King-9 suited, Ace-8. We don't expect Rodrigo's probably not opening the Ace-7-0 here from the hijack, so there might be something special about this 7. Not loving that flop.
Yeah. How far does he want to take this adventure? He is in a spot now where it's important moment. The 9s, both players, the board looks scary. Of course, whole cards up. See 9s in a pretty good spot, but I guess the jack too, right? The jack counterfeits. So if it were to go that route, this is Barack doing a little thinking. Does he want to bet and how much? Does come in for a bet. Starts out fine, right? You call, you see the flop. Now you're in there and you're in there playing for your life, Jonathan. Mr. Jaffe, what are you doing with the 9s? You're calling there? You like it? Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I'm calling the flop. Our hand could even potentially turn into a bluff later on, fold them off something like ace jack or pocket 10s. But when you imagine that there's enough ace X 3-betting us that's not Broadway ace X, you're doing just fine with the 9s, and the price is right. If we're seeing something like half pot, you've got a much trickier spot. But yeah, it looks pretty good to just go ahead and check turn here. I think it would be pretty thin to put in a bet. Goes for the bet. Says let's deny equity.
Nice. 3.5. Brazilian hanging tough. Started 7th in the mix now. In 3rd with 6 left. So payouts, you can see everyone guaranteed 6 figures. That's nice. 11 buy-ins there for everyone available. 6s open up. Jack 4 suited does outflop 6s.
These are the kind of spots that for chips, the button just has such a range advantage on a Jack 10 low board. He's got, way more of the 2 Broadway hands. He's the only guy with sets. But here, when he's opening with this wide chip lead, we saw a 2-9 suited in a similar spot earlier. So if he's got that, he's got hands like 9-3 suited. And at ping is, folding a little bit tighter than he is for just chip EV, we would imagine. So there's kind of not a role reversal per se, but with the moderate made hands, epping tends to do a lot better than Barack on this board. And yeah, Barack just recognizes I'm going to have better hands to bluff than these 6s. These can still eke out a win on super rare occasion. Let's go ahead and check.
Yeah, it's something I'm impressed with. The great players seem to just know when to sort of wave the white flag, understand situations, not feel like they have to bluff in spots, and really understand who's got what, where, what they're representing, and in time to move to another spot. So 5.6 million, he's in good position here, as we will see. No one short now. No one very short. 40-80. What we're talking 30 blinds is our short stack almost.
Yeah.
Just under.
What you're saying about knowing where you're at on the river, you can't be a great river player without being great at all the subsequent streets. You can be a great pre-flop player and be bad post-flop. There's actually a lot of people like that who they've just done a lot of memorizing and really trained well pre-flop, but not maybe done as much work or had as strong a intuition post-flop. But there's no such thing as being a really good river player, in my opinion anyway. Maybe low stakes live, you can be a great river player just because maybe there's some tells and you can understand who's willing and not willing to bluff it off. But when you're talking about online or high level poker, it's putting together a whole story, and you
Yeah.
can't just kind of, have been clocked over the head, miss the first 3 streets, and then be woken up and make good decisions.
Yep. Ace queen here. There we go. Ace queen's having itself a bit of a day. Ace queen just sort of making the nuts,
spot.
being comfortable, getting good decisions, winning pots, and here has the hand locked. 4 diamonds straight flush. Ace 9 actually makes 2 pair, but there's top 2 pair, although 4 diamonds, so 1 diamond would be a flush. And me myself thinking what to do here.
Goes big. You have a few options there. I kind of like the big bet. I think, we're not going to run into the king of diamonds checking the turn all that often. And the issue here is, what is he turning into a bluff? Might not be defending all that many 2x. He's not check calling the flop with a hand like queen 10 of clubs. So what are we really seeing that wants to bluff this river? A 5, something like a jack 3 of clubs. That's the only problem with going big. Yeah. But I think, you do get some big bet, and that hand makes a lot of sense. Might make a little more sense if you have, let's say, the 4 of diamonds or the king of diamonds, where you're allowing for him to have the queen of diamonds, which is going to be the hand that almost certainly has to pay off. That's the only case I can kind of make in the other direction. Whoa.
Pretty sick cooler here. Raise. Wow. I mean, are we going to see an 8 million, a 9 million chip pot? Is it possible?
400 into, so he 5x'd it, huh? All right.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame the flat there. Certainly we can see this is 3-bet all day, but if you're Brock, you don't imagine you're coolering much value by 3-betting the 5x from the guy who does not want to tango with you.
Well, currently no ace high or king high board, queen high. So the jacks, I mean, and the 9s both like the flop. The ace, this could save some people some chips.
Yeah. If you're Barack, you're imagining there's a hodgepodge of randomness bluffs that you don't really know what to make of. And then the value kind of screams a lot of ace king, maybe ace queen, and then like 9s through queens. That's, what jumps out to me the most. So this turn, I don't see, if I'm Barack, why I would, put a bet in. Would just be to try and get some last bits of money from the 9s and 10s. I think it's too thin. You really don't want to get check raised there. You can see someone in Be Myself spot have an ace and get lost on the turn. I think that's reasonable to expect a check. And now if you're Be Myself, do you block river? Do you check river? Kind of looks pretty good for a B10, but I think a lot of players are scared to make a move like that and let themselves get exploited. So a lot of people tend to move off of, hey, goes B10. Love it. And yeah, sees how much he got saved. Could have gotten ugly.
Yeah, that was could have gone a lot differently, but still they're going to stay the 1-2 stack, as ace 9 will pick it up. Almost 4 million there, and Be Myself could have been worse. Could have definitely been worse. And Barack also picks up some chips, 6.3 million. Mm-hmm. Real money. Yes, this is real money, but real money is a tournament, not the chips you see on the table. That would be impressive. That would be a Triton, even maybe record with the cash on table for that. It is a real money tournament though, and the prizes are in the lower left. 10K buy-in from Sunday, finishes on Tuesday. Play to a winner, no deal making. Chess clock per player. You see that in the middle. What the time left, if that does hit 0. I don't think we're gonna most likely run into that today with who's left. Adamo takes a bit of time, but he is no longer in the tournament. And Rodrigo has 5 minutes. Everyone else pretty healthy. What are your thoughts on chess clock?
I like it a lot. I would be a big fan if we could get these going live. I think it's excellent. What are your thoughts?
I think it's good. I think it does actually tempo make the game faster. I think just so much of the time people play quicker. Of course, if everyone used their chess, if they all used the full clock the whole time, every time, it add a lot of time. But we don't really see that. And I think people really do not take advantage of it. There is something to be
Yeah,
said
we could
about.
bring it down if that was the case. I think it's
Yeah,
just the most fair,
yeah.
like if you want to take 3 minutes on a hand, that's fine if you're the guy who takes 2 seconds when, you don't posture left and right. There are a lot of people who they're selfish in a very small way. They just take 15 seconds all the time. And yes, that makes you maybe a little bit more difficult to read, but you're taking time from everybody.
Yeah, I mean, well said. I think it's just so many innovations. I don't know if we ever got to the bottom specifically who got the big blind ante credit, but that is a massive. I mean, just think of that 75 level live at the WSOP and stuff where everyone's putting in 75. Like thinking about how much time and energy and stress that saved. Like that is a complete mass. It just shows you the matrix. We're living it, simulation. We're always getting better, optimizing. I don't know what the next big poker thing will be, but it's going to be technology at some point. I think it'll be the chips based on the weight or where they're at or the color. Like it'll be there and you'll know something. You can look at the screen and everyone's going to their stack size, or I don't know where it's going, but stuff's going to just keep getting more clean and optimized, if you will. But some of the clocks, I think that we're seeing that more. Tournaments having clocks, having better technology. I love the Triton clock, how they do it with the, it's really, really nice. And threes are a popular hand today. Not going to make a set. Ace Jack suited outflops Ace Queen with the nut flush as well. Really good spot for Rodrigo versus these hands.
Quick bet here, facing cutoff flat, doesn't have a diamond in his hand. Tells me Romeshka, maybe thinking a little bit more about, I'm the pre-flop aggressor. This is my board. It's disconnected. Let's go ahead and c-bet. That's one philosophy that I don't know it's going to be as popular with a lot of the players at the table, but I would take that as a pretty big information point. Not saying it's a terrible bet, just he came to that decision in like under 2 seconds.
Are you big, would you say, with your online history and experience back? I mean, maybe you said it's been a while to remember. Were you pretty in tune to timing tells? Did you try to balance some of your stuff yourself? Would you use shot clock, whether you knew what you're doing or not? The time bank, or how did you use that? Was that a part of your game?
Yeah, timing tells are really different in heads up than they are in tournaments. In tournaments, a lot of the timing tell might have to do with the fact that, hey, this guy's playing 8 tables. Is he the type of player who prioritizes his more important, bigger hands? Or is he balancing and saying, hey, I realize that about myself, so I'll sometimes, take a while, even with my garbage or whatever. In heads up, it's much more fast paced and much more prone to tilt and emotion. So the timing tells are a little bit more psychological than they are practical.
Makes a ton of sense. I agree. I know I have some friends that really pride themselves on their timing tells and their shot clock ability. And you do see it live too, right? We've seen that people balance. They use time banks with the nuts. They do different things. And it's, like, I don't want to say a fine line between angle shooting and not. I think you're given tools. You can use those accordingly. And I think
I don't think that's angling at all.
No, for sure. Definitely not. I'm saying there is a fine line with, using your allotted, let's say, time, or taking, we talk about people tanking and balancing and stuff, right? And what's good for the game and not, and hiding yourself. And there's the various things that, again, the rules, I think that's up for debate. Sunglasses, scarves, can you be fully covered? I remember there was a Phil Locke rule back where he dressed up as like a elderly man and like a 9-year-old man. He did like a full makeup. I don't know if you ever know this or saw this or
Loose
heard about
call
this.
Here for, I didn't see the size, but Epping check calling the Jack 7-2 versus cutoff. No backdoor. Seems like right on the border. But I would have expected a fold, although granted I didn't see the size. Now I do remember Phil Locke dressing up and being hilarious. Big bet here. What was that? 787. That's, yeah. He went heavy. I mean, looks pretty polar on the turn. I think that's reasonable. Don't know if he's going to need to go that big to get a 7 to fold at the final table, but he went for it.
Big bet, little Adamo inspired over bet. We saw some pressure cooked there. Nice hand to have, 2 overs in position, king, queen over there, which would have been good as well. Ace 10 was on for the hero hold, as we see another ace 10 here in the big blind. And One of those ones where it's like too good to fold. You don't love it. You got a nice stack though. 4.5. You're actually covering. He does call. Ace king suited. Both players do not make a pair.
Who do you want? Who do you say wins this pot? This looks very coin flippy right now with the ace of clubs, the 10, and in Rodrigo's hand. Be myself, obviously, with the better hand. Who would you pick?
I mean, be myself checking back here. No club turn. I would have said on the flop. Yeah, I think it is a coin flip. I was still going to say be myself, but I don't know, man. Rodrigo's shown that he's got this style. He's tight but aggressive.
I think we're
effective.
seeing a big bet here. I think we're going to see like a pot. Oh, I checked it. I thought we were going to see like a pot size bet.
It's going pretty well for Rodrigo. Started, I think, a 8th place, right? He was our second shortest in there. It would have been a good hand to fall through as it plays out. This looks
pretty
though.
Mandatory for a bluff.
Yeah, he's got key cards everywhere, but no bet on the turn makes it a little less maybe appealing. Although, as you said, mandatory, it does look mandatory, and you are going to see a.
Yeah, you're just facing so many 6s, 8s, you know, king 9. I think you're just like tough to have better cards than this to bluff. Man, does go for the small size. I think what we're seeing here is anticipating that he's going to get raised maybe 15, 20% of the time and come back over the top. I think that's his plan. Probably would have chosen a little bigger if I was doing that. It's so thin at this size, like you might just get called by 6s occasionally. But yeah, works out nicely. And would have been really sick if he induced a bluff and then came back over the top. I think that, you know, some of the value of the line he chose there on the river is built in like that. So when you do make that bet and your opponent beats you into the pot with some ace 9 or king jack and you know, it looks just dumb from the other side, it's worth noting there are just so many possibilities. And one of the lesser known ones, I think, or lesser thought of, is you are going to get raised sometimes by a bluff and make a ton of money off a bluff coming back over the top. Whereas had he chosen a big size, he doesn't really get raised much.
Okay, seeing Barack. I know he wants to go super wide. King 7 off, 6-handed there under the gun. Gonna fold pair versus king queen suited. Pretty good. Both players happy with the hand here. King 6 in the small line, nothing to think about. The king queen of diamonds. Both players with very big stacks, 2nd and 3rd place. Matter of fact, here, is it just too good or call?
Yeah, I'm just defending there. You know, there might be some case for a crazy big shove. That's another possibility. I would not really want to 3-bet fold that though. So flat looks great. There've been a couple spots where I've wondered if someone wanted to play a big shove, and no one's really hesitated. They've defended each time. Looks like you got to continue for half pot. I don't think Be Myself's going to fold to a button here. We're still just dominating so many bluffs. And of course, so much improvement possibility.
Yeah, a lot of favorable cards to continue or be interested. This was not one, although 5s on the 10-3 deuce. Pretty good flop for 5s. 2 unders, 10 pairs, even better. Now you feel pretty good about your hand. And king queen suited also sort of in the weird. You kind of realize you're not good, probably, right? The guy checks the turn.
But you probably still want to check, you know.
It's kind of a tough.
Yeah, against the button, you still beat some king 9, king jack.
Yep.
You know, this looks like a check. I don't think when he goes big, goes for all of it. And I think this is going to work because 5s is the hand that really struggles to bluff catch. If we give Rodrigo something like king 7, maybe he makes that call. But when you block all the 5, 4, 5, 6, that would be absolutely heroic. I think ace 9 is an easier call maybe than 5s are there. So I think it works out that time. Not so sure I love that play by Be Myself. But that's how it works.
I'll tell you what, Be Myself's willing to wager. He is putting pressure, though. He's shown some big sizing. He's been mixing it up, playing a bunch of hands. And here we got a first time in a while we've had kind of several people with hands, although with the min raise and ace king Maslach with his stack, his position, we're probably, I guess, 5's not going to be involved.
Probably a 3-bet.
Yeah. Ace king.
You heard me say 5s and 6s. That's where you can kind of find some of these real wide 4-bets. You know, I don't know here. Button cutoff hijack. It's not exactly button small blind, big blind, and he does rip it. So that kind of takes care of things. Low spot for Rodrigo. It's a big shove. Good fold. Well, I mean, not exactly, but pretty neutral if he saw the cards. This is an interesting one. Brock's got kind of not the hand you want to VPip when it goes raise, re-raise. Be Myself somehow finds a flat, which he shouldn't. Brock will have an interesting spot where he probably overflats. But yeah, like the 3-bet. Sizing looks pretty good. Maybe a bit on the big side.
Yeah, ace jack suited, pretty looking, but tough. Not one of the hands you really want to go for all the cookies. There was a Maslach's been pretty in line. He's not been.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not folding this. I'm either calling or shoving. You know, you try to decide, am I flipping if I get called ever? Does Be Myself have any 10s or 9s that are 3-bet calling me, where this is not a complete disaster if I get called? That's, you know, what might support ripping an ace queen suited. Flipping with jacks and 10s makes the fold very tight. Nice fold.
Yeah.
A tough one.
Yeah, got it right. Important to be right there. He was going to be playing for his stack. Be Myself was not backing down on that one, as we are still 6-handed, 40-80K blinds. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for hitting the thumbs up. Appreciate you guys subscribing. That will be part of the giveaway. There's 2 giveaways, one on Twitter, GGPoker. I put that link before. You can guess the top 3 finishers. Already down to 6. Getting a little easier to pick and a little less likely you'll win because it is the first to guess the combo, although still a lot of permutations, a lot of possibilities on which order and how they will finish here, as the chip leader start the day does still hold that position. Jack 3 suited, King 9, 9 going to be the high card, 9-7 deuce rainbow.
Could see some fireworks here. You know, this is Rodrigo can't go away on almost any turn, but there's a lot of turns you could see Barack firing. Certainly a club, possibly even a 3, 8 and 10. Not out of the woods to fire on, let's say, an offsuit king, offsuit ace. See a mixed bag here. I think the fact that it's the offsuit 10 might have Barack firing a little bit more. There's less mandatory check calls from, let's say, a 7-5 that turned a backdoor flush draw with no backdoor flush draws emerging here. Wouldn't be surprised if we saw, you know, somewhere in the neighborhood of 500 or 600 here. And then if he does, yeah, there's 630. He's got a pretty nice hand to follow through on a lot of rivers.
Brock's just a guy, you know, just knows what's going on. He's just dangerous. And here he goes. You said it. You already alluded to this storyline, and this is one of those ones. And he's just showing the pressure, the like understanding. That was definitely a big hand.
I like that fold if you're Rodrigo. That's a painful one to make. He probably, you know, if you ask Rodrigo in that spot, how often do you have the best hand? I'm going to say 65% of the time. And it's just, that's what the chip lead does. It's look at all these stacks surrounding Rodrigo, 2 to his right, 1 on his left. He really wants to outlast them. Is it really worth putting yourself in a spot where even if you are good, let's say 65, 70% on the turn, amazing pot odds, but how many rivers are you calling off on? Are you even calling off on a king river? That's what the chip lead does for you. And our friend Michael Adamo, I think he's, you know, maybe the most aware of that, of what it means to get that chip lead and what you can do with it.
Yeah, it's really, really, I mean, it's fun. It's fun to watch when you see what's going on, you see stuff develop, and then they follow through and people make great plays and doesn't disappoint. Barack, again, got a title recently. He's got a lot of results, and he's looking for another one today in good position. 6 left, 6.3 million. Ace queen suited here. Ace queen been a popular hand today against Romashka, who's been a little out of line, I'd say. Definitely.
He's been a throwback. I think Romashka's playing it. You know, he's not finding particularly strange aggression or anything like that, but he's just playing it similar to Chip EV. He says, hey, if I have a playable hand and the odds are right, let's enter the pot. Doesn't look like he's been trying to push people around too much, but has not been taking, you know, the new school approach that we see so many players, you know, looking towards avoiding conflict.
Yeah, I mean, this started out slow. Saw a little bit of kick up here. Now we're in a spot where everything again six. Everyone guaranteed six figures. Still 300 grand between first and sixth. A lot to play for. And a Jack 5 suited is on the mid pair. Ace King going to be checking down now, and Ace Jack 5 has a winner.
Yeah. You know, when Rameshka just checks the river so quickly, it's tough to imagine he doesn't have a moderate made hand. I mean, it certainly could be a trap here and there, but if I'm in the, that spot, I want to take a little time always. If I am going to not fire a bluff, maybe if he has a 9-10 suited or something, at least a little more consideration with all your hands on the river just makes it a lot easier where you don't feel the need to balance by snap checking a monster hand that you might regret later on.
Yeah, I've been, that was a cool hand. That Jack 3 suited was a very cool hand. Barack still showing us why he is the favorite today. Came in that way. He is showing us that he's willing to put pressure on. Who else has impressed you? Is there any other hands that stand out? Any other players that have sort of surprised you today?
Fair amount of surprises. I'm a tough guy to impress.
That's fair. Be myself, rocking some big stats there. Ace 6 suited gets flatted. Ace 10 with the flat. Not one we'd see often, right? This is also a little bit. Deuces get a nice price. Set mine there. Come in, closing the action. No one hits anything.
Given that Rameshka is covered and Be Myself, he's opening hijack, but with Barack and that big chip lead on his left, don't expect it's a super wide open. I think I'd probably play 3-better fold as Rameshka on the button, but like we said, there's a little less pressure going on with 6 players left as opposed to 8 or 9. First guy to bet. Hey, why not if you're Rodrigo? These are the ultimate unblockers. You got 2s, leaves them open for all sorts of hands, whatever you want to put them on. But does pass. Be Myself, definitely working with a pretty unnatural candidate, but having seen so little money go in the pot, feels he needs to bluff something. How are you any lower in your range than this hand if you're him? Probably by now you would have bet your 9-10, Jack 9, Jack 10 a good portion of the time. You only have the suited combos of those, save maybe Jack 10. So, it seems pretty reasonable to go ahead and make that bet. And kudos, folds 2 better hands.
Be Myself, been impressive. Got himself a nice, healthy second place stack here. These guys have been doing very well to keep the first and second position through with 6 left and extend their lead. It is, again, wide open still, though. Rodrigo sitting nice with 4 million. Queen 7 on the button, going to fold. 10 deuce suited. Saw Adamo attack with a Jack deuce suited earlier with the hand sort of like this when he's covering. Let's see if Maslach A6, one of those uncomfortable hands. And there he goes, Rodrigo. Those stats are deceiving, right? He shows pre-flop raise this, that, then all of a sudden just rip it in, 10 deuce suited, puts max ICM pressure, a couple other short stacks. And, you said this before, the ace 9 probably even close to a fold in the spot. And this time it's ace 6 off and
a smaller ante. I like that fold with the ace 6. And I like that shove with the 10-2 suited. It's good pressure. Got that super clean 50, 100 level. You don't have to do math.
Yeah, pretty Pretty interesting right now. I mean, this is a spot where, again, Brock just has such a good seat, such a good position. He's kind of in control of what's going on here, but seeing how wide he's going to push it, how much pressure he's going to go with some maybe like 3-bets or early position opens with wide hands. We saw King 5 suited. He set the tone early, showing us he's definitely willing.
Tight fold there on the button, that King 6 suited. Maslach's made a couple of tight folds between the Ace Jack suited fold to 3-bet, that King 6 suited on the button. Does Barak decide to jack it up? Nope. Interesting flop. Be Myself has plenty of options. Wouldn't think he'd want to play too much check raise here with, you know, this kind of, wow, goes for big bet though. It's going to clear Barak off the best hand almost always.
Big flop. I mean, 8-9 deuce rainbow, Jack 10, pretty comfortable. You know, and again, Brock covers, but these guys are the two sort of, they don't need to get too out of line. We saw the jacks to nines blind on blind where, you know, big bet pre-call didn't really get crazy. They kept their stacks. Both players not wanting to misstep and have a 9 million, 10 million now. It would be 11 million chip pot if they were to play an all in at least. And it is not what they're looking to do. Hoping the other players sort of bow out. They get the, get to progress through and not have so much adversity. As a very nice walk for 3-4, a ping. Going to get the walk right there. Again, welcome everyone. Let us know where you're watching in the world. Got almost 1,500 people on today watching. Giveaways, multiple for you. We will be announcing the one at the end, and the other one, GG will be picking on their Twitter. You can guess the top 3 finishers. Doesn't have to be the right order. Got to get the top 3 right. How are we doing on our wager? You took the long shot, so Barak, I feel good about that. I didn't say if it was for a dinner, right? We were just doing for the audience ticket. That would probably change your strategy if we were doing dinner involved. You'd be a little more.
Wow, he goes for shove. I was curious how Rodrigo was going to play this. There's a lot of pressure on him there. 40 bigs, you know, big blind. Are you really even looking to get into, you know, flips are kind of catastrophically bad. Interesting. I was curious if he was going to choose a big size or just rip it. Yeah, that's an interesting one. I wonder if he has any balance there, if there's ever going to be an ace-2 suited shove, something like that. A king-queen-o. Goes for shove here, and Rameshka's puking.
Yeah,
does fold. Remember,
knew what he was going to do there. We got a question in the chat about GTO Lab. I know you've had how many now? 6, 7? How many podcasts have you had?
The podcast I've had essentially 5 guests, 6 episodes. The last one was ElkY, but we broke it into 2. ElkY is a national treasure, so we needed to you know, cut that into 2 parts. But yeah, he was fantastic. That was you know, you're not supposed to have favorites, but ElkY's my favorite.
There you go. Well, you heard it first, and he did just yeah, 2-part. Yeah, we'll take it. We'll see. Someone asking about the GTO Lab coming out. When is the actual? Can you explain a little more about GTO Lab specifically?
Very soon. I should have asked maybe before I came on if I could talk about when it comes out, but we are going to have something that tournament players should be very interested in coming out very, very soon. Stay tuned. I wish I had asked to say whether or not I could give the release date, but very soon, something that tournament players will like a lot. You know, particularly the kind of people who are tuned into this broadcast, I think, and a lot more to come after.
Very, very cool. There you go. Got some great questions.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I'm not a businessman, but I've enjoyed, you know, kind of seeing the back end.
Yeah, it is fun, man. Playing poker is fun. Business is fun. Commentary's fun. It's all good stuff. All good stuff. Welcome in, everyone. Thanks
nice
for
to
being
do something
here
different.
I'm
just someone who has to do something different every day. I can't 10 days in a row of the same thing. Doesn't matter what it is. I'm out.
Well, how old are you, Jonathan?
37.
Oh, okay, same age. It is nice. It's nice to mix it up. Played a lot. We've played a lot of poker. It's been a lot of years. I mean, how many years did you go to? How have you gone to the World Series? How many years in a row?
Since I was 21. I mean, I don't go for the whole thing, but I went out when I was 21, and I don't think I've missed a year. Yourself? Same.
It's a lot. That's a lot. I've not missed it. And also less not going the whole time. It feels better not going the whole time for me. I love it there, but when I'm there though, for that is a lot. 6 weeks straight, and you start just playing every day and just hopping and everything. It can get a little bit crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Ace-6 suited, big blind, 2 big stacks, does call. Pretty good flop for Ace-6 suited, right? You feel okay. No Brock's going to be wide. You got the backdoor clubs, going to have the best hand
Yeah,
in the lot,
let me
but
tell
still
you,
tricky.
this is another one I'm going to try and foreshadow. I think we're going to see a Barak turn barrel. He's got these, a queen is an overcard, beautiful. And then the 2 is just this irrelevant card that unblocks some of the lightest floats from Rodrigo. Light floats being, I don't know, a 7-9, a diamond, something like that. So on this turn, which appears pretty neutral, I think Queen 2 of Hearts is going to find its way, especially again, we got the heart full Badoogie turn. So, Rodrigo with a hand just like what he has, never turns a backdoor. I think we're seeing 500 or 600 again. He just has that
So that does
perfect
matter
hand for
again.
it.
They're big bet. You're right. Just showing that makes a big difference. You're right with the non backdoor possibility of the flush, the rainbow card, and he does fire through. And in Rodrigo, he just hates it. He knows he's like,
Easy
man, this
fold
feels
for
weird.
Rodrigo, but again, yeah, he says, look, how many freaking 9-10, Jack-10, Jack-9, then whatever, Queen 4 of Hearts. There's so many hands like that. It's that same painful spot for Rodrigo. Granted, this time with an ace high, but he just knows he's good so often. But the risk reward is not there. It really sucks being in that spot. I'm gonna refrain from cursing. I'm not a guy who sits for this long. My knee is buckling. Give me 1 minute. Kill the video.
It is a long stretch. I'll tell you, it's fun, but we'll of course, anytime you use a restroom, take a break. I might have to do the same. I've hit my quota on coffee. Hope you guys are enjoying at home, ladies, gentlemen, everyone out there. Pleasure to have you. Always fun to watch. Always great to be here. See some of the highest level play in the world. Biggest buy-in, biggest stakes, biggest names, and biggest guests there as Jonathan does join us again. 5-time guest. Pretty ridiculous. I don't even know. I've lost track of our dinner count, but John, I know you're in my neck of the woods. We're usually close by. We definitely need a dinner. I'm just gonna treat you. I don't know what the count is. You can bring some friends. I definitely, for 5-time guests, that puts you in a new category of dinner.
No complaints here.
Yeah, sushi. You like sushi, right?
I do.
We'll have a nice sushi dinner coming up. You tell me. I'm back mostly in Florida. I want to get somewhere and play some of this World Series. Thinking about it, but it's not easy, man, with the kids and stuff. But I do want to play the main 5K, 25 million on GG. It just seems like you want that draft ganger moment. You want that guy. You want it on stream. Might have to dust off the Twitch cobwebs, get out there and play a couple. And I as you said, I want to play less tables. That's the thing. I wish I just could go back and say stop playing 8, 10, 12 tables and streaming on Twitch. Just do one, do 2, do the Jason Somerville, focus in, play great. I just don't have it. I don't have that gear. I can't do like 10, 12 tables and feel like I'm playing above the rim there, I think when I play 1 or 2, it's big difference.
2024 parlance, it's the dopamine addiction. I want aces. I want ace king suit. I want to keep turning around.
It is, but it's also like, it's like I'm streaming. I want to have a big stack, but it just kind of works against. You're just unfocused. You don't play as good and things don't go as well. I feel like my biggest 4 or 5 results ever have been where it's like always will go, I'm just happen to be 1 or 2 tables or you're focused. And that's the problem. It's like, at the end, you're always at 1 or 2 tables, but then it might be the big, the 125 or the big 200 or something versus like, all right, you're in a 1K, you're in, 5K online. And like during that time of needing to focus, you're playing all these things that aren't so important. And then you end up with one of those tables as your only table left. And that's frustrating.
Yeah. I like folding here from Rodrigo. This is 15 big blinds from a guy who hasn't shown much aggression. It's not a full big blind ante. I'm making that fold. I'm probably folding king 8 suited there too. King 9 suited is like a painfully tough spot. But again, Rodrigo may know what he's doing right away, but with cards up streams, do you really want to let everyone know your thought process? And an insta fold does reveal that. When he tanks there, he's at least protecting himself a little bit from being fully known. Be myself with one of those wheel suited aces that just kind of loves to 4-bet, but do you want to 4-bet the only guy who can really end your tournament at this point? Tough spot. One of the cool things there is Be Myself can play like shove and make Barack kind of indifferent with, let's say, ace king probably has to fold. He can fold a lot of value from Barack. Maybe like Jackson down is a very tough spot. So a couple of options Be Myself had there. Probably not flat though. Comes right back at him with ace 2-0. And you know, if you're Barack, you see the stacks behind you. Romeshka can't, for all his loose flats today, probably not going to make too many loose flats with the 15 bigs. That really opens Barack up for more opens, because when we think about Romeshka, I don't think he's shoving too wide based on what we've seen, or not way too wide. So he's not a big threat. Epping has been pretty careful. Rodrigo has been staying in line. The fact that Rodrigo played a 40 big blind shove out of the big blind almost shows him to be more in line than had he 3-bet the ace king o. Maslach has taken the tight option on every possible pre-flop spot, mostly to his benefit. And if I'm Barack, I just say like, hey, the floodgates have opened. Let's go. Let there be Jack 3 suited and Queen 2 suited. This is an interesting spot here. Yes, we've got on the one hand, and then we've got just this beautiful hand to turn into a bluff, but it's all about frequencies. If you look at that ace of clubs and you say Barack's got a mandatory raise versus a bet, you better remember how many more offsuit ace he has. So he has ace of club 2, 3, 4, 5 all the way up. And then how many ace X of clubs does he have? Plus, in this case, he's facing a huge bet from Be Myself. Barack has been so much more reasonable than I think a lot of chip leaders are. There's a lot of great players that I would like to hand this ace to. He makes the call. That's a reasonable kind of middling. Unblocks, I didn't fully follow the action, but I think that's probably what I would have done. You unblock so much with the 9-10. I guess 5-6 got there though, but Jack 9, Jack 10. There's just so many of those combos defending. I got pretty wordy there, but there was a lot to talk about. But I would have liked to see, trying to think who some of the more aggressive guys are. But I think there's a fair number of players who may have overbluffed in Brock's spot. Not to say that his hand couldn't shove as a bluff or raise as a bluff, but some people might really overdo it. And there's some balance. You see, he rips the ace jack O for 20. He's not just ripping crappy hands. He's not just trying to induce the ace jack. Probably also believes Romeshka's not going to over shove bluffs versus his raise. Tough to say. So it'd be surprising if this was the spot that Maslach was waiting for. Yeah, it does fold.
Ace 10. Barack going to go back to work here. Snap folds. Queen Jack, big blind Rodrigo. One of the more experienced players here. We saw his resume. We did the pregame show today. Want to welcome everyone as well. Each week, that is 30 minutes before the show, we do have a pregame. So want to join you for that. Get to break down some hands that led up to this final table, as well as the outlook of what's going on, and talk about some of the players. So that's been fun, and get to know them a little better. We did see a Barack hand. Who else? We saw Be Myself hand, and I believe Maslach, who was in third, if I'm not mistaken. That was Maslach, yes, who's now found himself as the short stack with 6 left. So first and second doing well. Third place stack, a little bit in trouble. Queen Jack in a tricky position here against Barack, who understands too he's going to have a wide range. So he's actually pretty high up.
Yeah. Low spot for Barack there on the turn, not walking into as many better hands when he's got the 10 as opposed to, let's say, having an ace 6. But yeah, this is one of those spots where you're Rodrigo and you're saying, look, I've got the best hand, a very, very high clip, but what are my bluffs? Very important before you find a size for your value, trying to examine what you would bluff and what sizes you might think to bluff those. I think a lot of people just kind of bet the size of their hand, which, look, that's probably what Queen Jack did here, but I'm sure Rodrigo knows what his bluffs look like there, and Barack has an easy call with the ace 10. Not an easy call if you're facing a nit, though, because that's a really tough board to find your bluffs. Probably got to turn an 8 into a bluff. Did a queen 9 ever, or jack, I guess? Maybe a jack turns into a bluff.
Yeah, I mean, man, big moment there. Rodrigo in second now. Be myself, tier 1, ace king suited, over 7 million. Barack still 4 million. 3 shortish stacks now. Things are starting to break free and emerge into what's going on in the tournament. Mazlak on a very short stack, and Roneshko has got about 11 blinds. Rodrigo king 9 suited, going to go open here. Be myself, king 10 in the big blind. The taxi, if you will. Any Houston friends out there know what I'm talking about. Mr. B1NL, good to see you. See you in the chat. See a lot of familiar faces. 125 thumbs up. You might as well get that up if you're enjoying the show, because that will be part of the giveaway here. We're going to queue up when we get down to three-handed. It'll be a $50 or $100 ticket. And we'll have a keyword for you for that, and as well as the $100 GGPoker giveaway on Twitter.
Jeff, while we've got the top pair versus top pair, can you school me as a YouTube noob? What do the likes do? I understand it looks good, but what is it? Is it an algorithm thing? How does...
Yeah, it all helps. It's first of all, let's talk about energy. It's just positive. It's nice to look at. Aesthetically, of course, appealing. In terms of algorithms, it does change all the time, but it definitely does show YouTube that there's people that are there. They're real. They're engaging. They're having fun. You're putting on good content. I think they did take down the thumbs down a while ago, right? That was something they had, thumbs up, thumb down, which is kind of interesting. Always, again, iterations, optimizing, changing. But that is there. Look at that. Just a question. People are just, there's probably a lot of people. You probably haven't even hit it. Sometimes I forget to hit it. I need a reminder. I just need a reminder.
I don't have YouTube up. How would I hit it?
What's that?
I don't have YouTube up. How would I hit it?
That would be hard. That would be hard. Well, you just kind of did it. Look, you hit it like 15 times. People are hitting the thumbs up as you talk about. So you contributed.
Okay, there we go.
You put your contribution in. I'll give you that. It's rocketing up like that, like a rocket. Imagine
so just a little bit of curiosity.
What if we could get every person hit the thumbs up button, like just for fun? If everyone did it, it'd be crazy. I don't know. It's wild ratio. It's like 10 ratio, and we see a big pop, but not as big as it could have been. King 10 gonna go ahead and win there. Be myself holding on to the pot. Gonna get it. Chip lead available. Satellite winner going for the super parlay. 8 million chips, double 4 million of Barack and Rodrigo. Queen deuce suited. Thinking about it. Mazlak, though, king jack suited. Gets a nice shove here, and not a lot of blinds. Ace 6 off in the big blind. I mean, it's an ace closing the action, covering. Just kind of going to be.
Yeah, there's not enough money going into fold ace 6.
Nope. Pretty fair fight. King jack suited looks powerful. Flops powerful. Diamond for a sweat. Queen is an interesting one, but still only needs a jack now on the river. No pain available. Double up for Mazlak. Start of the day third. Currently back in the mix in one of the 3 shorter stacks, but in there. We got 3 bigger stacks. Barack, a little bit of volatility right now.
Yeah, he's not really got the pressure to exert anymore. Be myself playing a big chip lead. Barack on his left. Can't play back at him too much. Good shove.
John, I might need you to reserve about 2 hours in every week. If you can just call in, maybe we pop you on as a guest. We could do a roll call for thumbs up. That was without a giveaway mention or natural organic. That we really just rallied the thumbs up.
So what we found is the host's ignorance and curiosity about how it works is a very positive influence. That people love my ignorance.
That was beautiful. We're gonna be at 200 in no time. I can feel it. But we got 1,400 watching right now. Appreciate everyone being here. Hope you're enjoying. This is fun. Fun to be here. I just wish I could be in a place to play a bit, but I got to say, I think online poker, as you said, I like that too. I'd like to come in, come out. I don't have like a 2-week grind in me anymore, as we see 8-9 suited going to work on the queen 10 off, spade available, backdoors, too short, too much going there to get cute, get floaty, or raising gets out of the way, as we are in a very, very interesting spot. 2 players with 10 blinds. Mazlak just a little bit ahead. And we have got ourselves Barack going back to work. Ace 10 so often. He's in there first, in there often. Jack 7 in the big blind. Covers, but see if he wants to continue. Ooh.
Glad he did.
He is going to be pretty happy.
One of the few times we look at Barack's hand now, and it doesn't look like much of a 3-barrel. There's possibility. You can see a king and a queen look pretty good too. get the pressure train moving. But, you know, yeah, I was going to say it's a reasonable hand to even check back the flop. And that makes all the difference. You know, he bets that flop. He probably bets this turn. It's a borderline spot on the flop there. But this is a hand class you're going to find very often, even on a high frequency c-bet board. When you've got the ace high and your kicker is right below top pair, very heavy check back. But, you know, ooh, that's just enough where I think you're going to find Barack folding here.
Yeah.
The thing about it is, yeah, you beat bluffs, but you also block the shit out of bluffs. Yeah, I just don't expect Rodrigo. I mean, in fairness, he does now cover Barack, so he can be a little bit more liberal with his 4-5, 5-6 type bluffs. He's got a wider defend range, but yeah, can't blame Rodrigo for targeting a king, targeting the rare Queen 10 suited. But that's a big boy bet and scared Barack off his hand.
If he checks, what do you think Brock does there as played as a check?
I think Barack checks. I think he's high up enough after the check line to continue. But had he bet the flop, there's a reasonable chance Barack goes bust there. Maybe not bust because everyone's going to be underdoing their bluff it off, you know, 3 street lines at this final table with, you know, that button stack or Romeshka and Ping. So tough to say. I mean, but I like Barack's line a lot. I don't necessarily dislike the size Rodrigo chose on the turn. I think a lot of it comes down to how much do you expect a delayed 2-barrel coming from like an ace-2 suited, that kind of hand, or a delayed 2-barrel from a queen 9 suited, queen 10-0. That really dictates if you're Rodrigo, if you ever want to play checks with that hand. Pretty heavy action here. Be myself repping the old trip twos or says, maybe you know I don't have it. Doesn't matter. What are you going to do about it?
Nice looking hand here. Tens, shortest, one of the shortest. I mean, yes, 2 short stacks. You got to go at risk, but the cutoff open button here, it's just nice spot. I mean, look, this is asking Rodrigo with the ace 10 off. It's also pretty close here, right? What do we?
It is. I think it's probably a pretty natural call. He might be wondering if Maslock was, you know, was he honest with that time that he took, or could this maybe be a little bit more of a legit hand? You know, it's the stacks to Rodrigo's right that's giving him pause. Maslock, he's now seen, has made some tight folds. This makes a really big dent in Rodrigo's stack if he calls and loses. He's got this very clear second place right now. Very close spot. I think he's going to make a good fold. I think, yeah, once he didn't snap. Nice fold, Rodrigo.
Yeah, that's close. I mean, we saw the ace jack, Barack binned it versus Romaneshka with the ace king, I think earlier too. He made a pretty quick fold
that
with
snug fold from Ping. You heard me mention about 4 res on the very first hand. He 3-bet the aces, and before he did from UTG1, I was wondering, does he play a 3-bet? Does he play a shove? If he 3-bets, it implies he probably is aware of some very shallow stack 3-bet bluffs. And Ping folding that ace-9 under the gun, that's kind of one of the best hands you're going to find to open and then fold. But off of 10 big blinds, a lot of players don't want to play any hands that they open and fold. So, you know, if I had that information at this point, that would inform me a lot on how Ping might be approaching things. And look at him tanking with these 8s. This is, you know, a snap call for everyone. Adamo's beating him into the pot with 5s, but takes a moment before putting it in with 8s.
King 10 gonna be ahead now. Has the actual literal spot for a knockout. Eights was a real hand. He says good game, positive energies it out, and there it is. Barack back into the position of power. He's got 4.5. I mean, he's basically tied for second. Romnashka,
Yeah, I mean,
5
position
left.
of power that's pretty generous. That's like calling a state representative position of power.
That's true, but it's people will say it. He's got a good seat. He's on the direct left of the chip leader. He's got a good spot, and he's tied for second. I'd say he's in a powerful position. Be Myself's a satellite winner. He's not playing like it today.
Yeah.
Maslach flicks it in. Queen 8 off, super live, but behind. Good flop. Ace Jack suited in the lead. Turn clean. River. Can it be Maslach back to his third place where he started the day? Gonna fade. Scary fade. So we have literally got the top 3 are in the top 3 right now. Little different position with Be Myself, the chip leader, but a big swing, and Romaneshka needs help. He is short. 140K big blind, 922 stack. We're gonna cue the giveaway here shortly. Be ready for that. And we are down to 5.
Yeah, now we see Maslach, who's played pretty snug with a mid to shorter stack. Now he's in second place. See how he plays that. Here's the first test. Snap folds the 5-4 suited, so he's not wanting to go out in 5th or 4th. He's playing pretty snug. You know, when you fold the hand like that, it just means, you know, that whatever, 35 big blinds deep, you're not going to be able to cover the 2 through 7, 2 through 8 boards very well. That's like one of the few hands that wants to continue. Of course, you're not looking to play big pots with 5 high against the chip leader out of position, but a fold like that down the line, if you continue that type of play, it really helps your opponents have a much better understanding, ranging you on the river when the real money comes in. It allows for a lot of kind of high leverage situations on low boards later on.
Ace King gonna rip in here. And Barack, yeah, I position of power. You're right. It's a little stretch, but he's tied for second. He's got a good seat. He's back in the mix.
Fair. But hey, I mean, Rodrigo had a bunch of chips before that. But yeah,
it's true.
Fair.
I'm a Brock fan. I like his game. I like what he's got going on, and I know he's in a good mindset now. He's got his win. He does flat Ace Jack off. Tell me here, this specific spot, 3-betting versus flatting with 5-handed, covered by the chip leader. I just want it too good. Is it too good to 3-bet fold, basically?
I think, yeah, he's in that spot where he's saying, look, I know I didn't treat you guys the best before. Like, understand, don't take it out on me. Let's be careful. He just wants to flat. He doesn't want to have to 3-bet fold that against a guy who's got, you know, the chips to put it in with some ace low suited and, you know, king queen and some really weak hands. I like that flat a lot by Barack. There's any state representatives out there, I don't think you're hot shit. I'm doubling down.
Ace Jack. Both players super interested in this board. About fair fight. I mean, Ace Jack has position. Club is good. Ace is good. Jack Queen in the lead. 9 pairs the board. Be Myself has himself an important winner here if he's able to get to showdown, as likely will. I don't know. Ace Jack though, maybe not this river. Feels like bluffing, has showdown snap check, so doesn't even think about bluffing there, thinking he could have the best hand, and does just check.
Queen 2-0. I mean, I think this is a product of Romeshka is so short that we're going to call off against him, no problem. And everyone else kind of has to submit to us until Romeshka, you know, gets knocked out or doubles up. I definitely like being really loose and Be Myself spot here. The Queen 2-0, a little bit iffy, particularly in a cards up stream where this will probably go more than another 30 minutes. And these guys are going to see this and, you know, potentially react a little bit more aggressively to you if you're holding the chip lead 30 minutes from now. something to be said for Be Myself calling a little bit tighter here. You know, if he did have a closer spot, let's say 7-5 suited or something, that maybe the fold and keeping Rameshka on life support for the extra leverage it creates against the other three. There's that kind of like, it's like sponsored collusion. Pretty close spot. Do you shove or do you flat? See the flat. It does feel like a hand that's doing quite well against Maslach's open, but quite poorly if you get called when you shove.
Yep. Ace-2 suited finds a better flop. Deuce pairs. Ace-10 suited
Strangely,
backdoor.
not sure exactly what he's looking to accomplish with this. I mean, it's kind of like right in the middle where you get a little bit of value, and interesting raise from Maslach. Also, you know, not so sure what he's looking to accomplish here. Both of these guys throwing punches. Yeah. Best hand wins.
Ace-4 off. Be Myself. Seen Maslach start getting a little more aggressive, and now he's going to come 3-betting, and he's got Maslach in a kind of a, you know, this is a tough one. This is like, again, you're looking around, you're like, man, I'm in a good spot. I'm in second. 5 left. I'm out of position. Ace-Jack, tricky hand to play. Gets out of the way. Is that too tight, or is that just about right?
Money. No, I think that seems reasonable. It's, you know, you're not loving folding to the chip leader cutoff first button there, but these stacks out there, it's tough to take a stand with ace jack. See it both ways.
Yeah, all right, like all in. King high makes the call. Rodrigo in the lead. Queen 6, King 5, fair fight. Kind of flippy-ish. King 5 was in the lead. Now is not. Needs a king or 5 on the river. Queen 6 going to double up on the ace queen deuce flop. Needs to hit to get. Nope. Going to even it out. 2 shorties now. 1.5, 1.4. Barack's just showing one card all day. He's just keeping people guessing, keeping people on his toes, keeping himself entertained. He is in 3rd place now, a 3-4 off. Be Myself. Hello. Is that GTO Lab approved? Is that chip leader? Is that allowed?
Yeah, he's being himself. You know, he's doing him. That's his own style. It's working. Look, in fairness, I'm not GTO Lab approved.
That's hey, that's good. We all got a little sprinkle, a little splash in all of us. That's I think true of anyone in any given day. People play a little differently, a little wilder, and it's hard to know the best play at all times. We get to see poker just in such a good place. Record fields, record online, record live, guarantees getting hit, new formats being played. I think there's a lot of good going on in poker right now as we are seeing a high level today. Adamo, world-class name, goes out today. Didn't get it done. He is on the all-time leaderboard up there. He had 8 titles trying to chase Arthur. Couldn't get it going. He was up to 3rd at one moment and then got he started out queens to aces. I think, or no, he got to 3rd and then got queens to aces pretty quickly to sort of get set back into not a healthy place, but couldn't quite get it going there. King, queen suited here. Jack deuce. Be Myself is really going after it here. He is taking the liberty.
This might be a nice one to just rip it in if you're Barack. At this point, you don't know all the cards, but the opening frequency is so high. When you make this shove, you fold some people off of, you know, 9s and 10s behind you. Let's for the 3-bet, and I'm curious if he's just going to 3-bet call this off, or if it's a 3-bet fold. I guess it's a 3-bet fold, but I would be very scared to fold. But again, we're seeing a guy open 3-4 off, so. I think I probably would have ripped that king queen suited. Loves the chip lead. Loves it.
Yep. Going for it. Maslach, though, king, queen, limping in, may have other intentions here. Is going to call king. I mean, pretty good flop for king, queen with queen, deuce suited.
Yeah, no
king, queen on
diamond.
the ace, ace, eight. Like, yeah, you're behind the ace, but you're also just doing pretty well against the air here.
Is that 301?
Yeah.
All right.
Sevens. Maslach, real hand here. Queen 10. He was wheel spinning. Wheel spinning, doesn't go for that spot. He's been tangoing frequently, opening, 3-betting, got the full thing working. 11 million, pretty big lead for five-handed.
Quick fold there, 9-5 suited on the button. That's an interesting one considering some of those opens. He's mixing it up. You know, I think he's maybe wondering if the stream's caught up with him, or just deciding I've V-pipped enough. I can't get quite as out of line now, and then doing the zigzag. Had some good timing. When's somebody going to make a training video on time the RNG?
Yeah, there's some, you know, something to be said. And ace 4, queen 10 here. Maslach this time is going to fold the big blind. Decides to
snug. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of pressure on him with 2 900 stacks. There's a case to be made for that. Not if you.
Yeah, I gotta say, Be Myself really illustrating a huge lead with the 2 shorties, and this is a rare. I can say out of all the times doing GGMillion commentary, it's very rare we see 2 super short stacks, one extremely big stack play out where it gets to do that. And here now 10-6 suited. See if he's able to leverage here. If he's going to go for big size, and he does. Brock, not much to contend with.
I would see a shove here. I think, you know, this is a good spot when you look at those 2 shorties to just play a lot of rips. 10-6 suited probably plays really well just shoving. All right, one of those shorties is going in and looks like not getting a call.
Ace queen. Yeah, Roman Ashka definitely rooting against his friend on the left there. Wants to see him go out. Doesn't want to be the one on the chop block. Big jumps here. Again, lower left, you see it there from 5th to 4th, and both with similar stacks.
Awesome 5-handed for Be Myself. He's got to be having some of the most fun you have playing poker a spot like this. There it is.
Satellite winner, mind you. Satellite
He's
winner
having a great time
today.
I mean, when I'm in the spot like Be Myself, yes, I want to win the tournament, but I also don't want it to end. It's just so much fun. Like, whatever I do after the tournament's not going to be as much fun as just racing and continually taking the blinds, continually being handed spots that are just printing thousands of dollars is like so much fun. This looks like a pretty good one to just shove. It's what, 22.5, something like that. You know, if Barack wakes up and rips like an ace low or a low pocket pair, those were definitely folding if you shove. And yet, you know, you may face some resistance with the open. Barack sitting here with a hand that's definitely contemplating calling. I don't think he's going to shove this one. I think this one looks like call or fold and pretty close.
Barack is he's, I guess, going to test Be Myself. See if he's gonna, if he might, you know, you might be having an out of body experience. Satellite winner, chip leader may just say, "Hey, Barack, I'm ready to tango, man. Do you really got it?" But I also could just, maybe it's a check in. 12 mil, not just go crazy. Next hand, someone shows some aggression, give it to him. Nice play by Brock.
Yeah, beautiful. He waited, found the spot.
And queen 10 suited also,
Interesting
Brock.
spot here. You could see everything. Not really going to see a shove probably, but flat, 3-bet fold. Both look like options. And Rameshka is just like, come on, are you kidding? I finally had a hand to go with.
There is something to be said though. If you Brock, you make an aggressive move, and then Romanella, he gets a good spot on his money too. He gets like triple up basically on a hand. So
Sure.
he does goes for call. I mean, I guess so that does he just calls now. Queen 10 suited. King 3 suited doesn't have to go all in. Gonna save those chips at the moment, at least. Has a pretty terrible flop. Queen 10 suited, a lot of equity, 2 overs, flush draws. We see it. Jack 8 top pair. Brock certainly not folding.
Yeah, I think just playing call here. Tough to imagine he's trying to inflate the pot.
Ooh, there's a bink. That would have been Romaneshka, man, getting the king there. Still would have had some work to do, fading cards, but pretty
Take that
ridiculous turn.
RNG lesson.
And he would have had a winner. That's frustrating for him off that stack and that way. Talk to me about that. Looking at it as played, are you happy to just call and see it flop?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't even think twice as Rameshka. Barak's got an interesting spot here. Tough to imagine not bluffing. Like, what does he have that's worse than this? It was already a snug flatting range that included probably all the sets. Then this run out, if he did have a 9-10 suited or whatever, I mean, it's mandatory bluff. And if I'm be myself, I'm pitching this Jack 8 so quickly. I beat so few hands. I think they both played that really well. That's an awesome pot for Barak. He's got to be thrilled. So much more satisfying than making the flush.
Ace deuce gets it in good. This time, again, would have been ahead last time. And now Jack 3 hits that top pair. Ace deuce has a pair, needs help fast. It is a river potential away. Not going to be enough. GG's 4 left. Queuing the giveaway up in a sec. Appreciate everyone to stick with us here as we are playing to a winner. Almost to that podium. Almost to that giveaway on the GG Twitter. Top 3 got to guess the stack. So anyone got these 4 in their remaining of their picks, they're live for that $100 giveaway. 9-10 suited, queen 9 suited. Is that 9-10 suited? I guess he just knows it's coming. The boom's coming, right? He's just like, all right, this guy's got 600K.
I mean, he's respecting Rodrigo's stack, and he's just saying this is an extreme pressure spot. And yeah, he doesn't seem to want to play anything that's not going to play for all of it.
Deuce 10. Calls behind. Hearts as well are no good. It is 2-heart flop. Ace 6 suited. Needs a 10 deuce or else double up coming for the Brazilian. Nut flush versus 10 high flush. Both players making hands. Eight, 9. Oh, no one with the 10. No one with the Broadway card. 9-8 though. Gonna fold here. Barak 6-7. Covering but knows.
He's been a little whimsical with his choices. I think if he's not gonna call the all in, tends to be a lot tighter. That's what I've seen so far.
Five deuce, one of the worst hands. I mean, a little worrying. Some Brock the check back, right? Going to hit some checkbacks. But also just kind of one of the worst hands he'll have. He just limps in, and board is 4 to a straight, 9 being a straight. Possible flush draws, 7-6, decides not needing to bet here, just hoping to be good, and pretty modest hand for both players. No one really has anything. 7 though. 7 is good.
Yeah, tough spot for Rodrigo. You want to bluff a 5 high, but you don't really check an ace. So it's just very tough. Getting a double up here.
Well, there you go. King 5 suited puts it on the line versus the aces. It is clean on the flop. Rodrigo trying to call it a comeback 5-turn, bring some life. Would be dirty. The runner needs a king or a 5. That would be something else. Not going to happen. Still going to go 4-handed here.
First bump in the road for Be Myself since he got the chip lead. Yeah, pretty nice stack distribution for Be Myself to continue to take advantage of these guys. The only player, Barack can show a little resistance, but not really. They've got to play quite snug.
Limps in, Barack, Queen 9.
Yeah, and this is with a reduced ante. We're looking at 50% of the big blind, so we've just got a small blind ante. So a hand like 6-2 really reduced. It's tough to make that plus EV without imagining your opponent is basically never picking on you.
King 8-4 calls with Queen high. Really no draw. Got the best hand.
Yeah, tough to barrel this one here. You block a lot of the 5-6, 6-7 that may fold. So yeah, that's the spot you're going to find yourself in a lot as Be Myself. The C-bet accomplishes very little amount. He gets sneak out of it here. Does he go? He did have that B10 earlier with the pocket nines. Tells me there's a decent chance we see one big blind on the river here with all the bluffs that are in his range. Yeah, goes for just over a big quarter pot. Tough one if you're Barack. You don't really believe he has all that many decent hands, but the queen, whatever, that's fine. The 9 is not a great card. We kind of imagine Be Myself has a lot of bluffs in the 9-7, 9-6, 9-5, maybe 10-9 zone. Very tough spot for Brock, getting such a good price. Sick. Tough spot now for Be Myself. Wow, quick fold. Just says, I believe it. I believe it. You've got a king. Very nice hand from Brock. I think we're going to see a 3-bet here. I think even with the pressure that is on him, I don't know that he wants to play jam for, this is 35 bigs, a little bit less, 34. Ace queen off, maybe jamming. Ace queen suited, nice 3-bet. Keep making yourself difficult to play against. Keep 3-betting bluffs in these spots occasionally. And you got to have some 3-bet calls. You can't just jam the best hands. That's something a lot of the best players, they're playing the long game. They're not just trying to move up the payouts today. They want to protect themselves so that they're not imbalanced going forward with a lot of their opponents.
Well, Be Myself hovering at 10 million. Barack starting to close the gap a bit. 6 million, 2 bottom stacks even. A little bit short, right? 115 bigs. It's 10 blinds, 3. Yeah, no, a little more. It's 161.6, 2.5. Yeah, right in the middle there. 15 blind stacks. Ace 8 suited, nice hand here. Deuce 10, Queen King in the big. Does check back King Queen. The deuce 10, nothing really going here. Gonna go ahead and take a stab. King queen definitely not gonna be folding. King high diamond backdoor draw, also just gonna have the best handle out. As we see, didn't raise pre when he definitely could on the limp, and now is just checking. Deuce 10 took a shot. Not much happening here for deuce 10. See if it's gonna wave the flag. Brock starting to get situated, get hunkered in to the situation here. As I said he's a powerful spot. I like Brock's situation. Be myself plays a little bit loose, a little bit splashy. He's got the chip lead. Brock, I think, is going to do well in this situation. I mean, he's in a healthy second.
I'll have to imagine this one works out. Brock's just got, a perfect hand, unblocking bluffs as far as a pair, a hand that's not a pair making the call. This one looks pretty good. Yeah, that would be a pretty heroic fold. Nice hand.
Nice hand, Barack. Here he goes. 7 mil.
Yep.
Two fives. I mean, this is tough. You're short stacked. You see the pay jumps. You're just going to go for it, though. 5. See the jump. You risk it. Puts it on the line. First in. Picks it up. Pretty standard stuff there. What would you, how wide? Like, what's the, for Maslach there on that stack, this position with the other stack distribution? What do you like seeing him just rip in? How wide there?
Good question. There's half a big blind for the ante. Probably ace 8 and 2s.
Whoa.
That's my guess.
6-3, ace 6 suited makes the call, happens to be dominating. 6 on the flop, backdoor hearts for a sweat. No heart on the turn. Ace 6 in great position to knock out the dangerous Brazilian and get us to the final 3. GG's, golf claps all around. That is our top 3, and we are going to have a winner. Going to announce it for the $100 ticket on GG, and you guys are now going to queue up the giveaway. I think 3-handed. It's going to start moving here. We're going to put the keyword up here in a sec. Give you guys a chance to hit the thumbs up. Over 200 there and be eligible. Must be subscribed to the channel, and we will give you the keyword here just in a moment for that. Over 1,500 tuned in. Going to play for big pay jumps here. Wow. 410 up top. A lot of money locked up. 3-handed poker. Can Be Myself finish it, John? You think he's got it? Mr. Jaffe, can he do it? Can he do the satellite spin? Is he going to do it? And that, I'm sorry. Well, he was second to start the day. He did satellite in, but he was not one of the shortest stacks. And how are we doing on our wager? I had Barack. I had Be Myself. I had all the non-fun bets. So I think the audience is getting 100, right? You didn't have Maslach.
Looks
he was
like
the
that.
third stack.
Yeah, I think this is you.
We got the top 3. We got the top 3 at the start of the day. They ended there. How often does that happen? It's not easy to do. Got a little reverse order with the first. I think Maslach was third, and then we flipped the first and second. But Be Myself is in the mix right now with ace 5 versus king jack. Got a winner if he can hold the river and get to a showdown. Could have been some more interesting flops here for these hands. Pretty much whiffing.
Yeah, feels like that one kind of played itself once they both, chose their pre-flop actions. To me, there's something to be said for Barack shoving here. I think with Maslach calling tight, King 5 suited might just be a special hand to just go ahead and rip 22 bigs there. Wouldn't be surprised if that was the best play.
Ace jack, king 5 suited. I mean, this is interesting. Interesting 3-way. No one's super short now. Be Myself does have the lead. Ace jack and king 5, both players. Pretty good hands here. Ace jack got the winner.
Yeah, not sure Barack's combo wants to bluff all that much, but it wouldn't shock me if he goes ahead and fires. Yeah, checks. Just thinking that, Maslach might be overfolding the river a bit.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely, Be Myself is in a good position, but I still like Brock. I think Brock gets it done today. I just think he's just in the, just feels like he's really super dialed in, understands what's going on. Probably the most experience for sure. And he is in a, just seems like it's going to be his time. But how big, what would you say the percentage with these chip stacks and just sort of basically loosely knowing how many, like what percent of the time does Brock win or Be Myself? Just going off just sort of what you've seen today in this chip stack size.
Taking this pot into account, I would say Be Myself probably wins 45% of the time. Barack maybe 35 and 20 for Maslach, something like that. Be my quick guess.
I don't know. I think I see this as I mean, I think it's difficult to call. I got to say that I'm impressed with, I thought Be Myself has really made people guess a bit. I think he's played aggressive.
Yep.
He's definitely not been, we said that early, like the 10-7 suited opening up early on. I just sort of see that he was willing to go for it.
Yeah. I think he's going to get Maslach to fold another dominating hand.
All right, $100 keyword giveaway.
Know,
it's going to be GGWSOP GTO Lab, and then enter your GGPoker username. Do you even have a GG account, or you just literally haven't played online in so many years?
I do. I played cash for like the better part of a month. Probably played a couple tournaments, but that was a while ago.
I gotta say, I think it's too close to call. We got a bunch of people putting in. Whoa, there's.
Fortunately, it's not a pageant. We don't have to call it. They'll figure it out for themselves.
It's interesting. I'm seeing these notes as like it's a hide it's like they must be, it's like YouTube's, oh wow, Queen 9 putting the pressure on. This is a tough spot. They're when people are typing in GGWSOP GTO Lab, they're putting in like making you show or hide the comment on YouTube, almost like it's like a spam word or something. It's super weird. I don't know why that would be.
That's interesting.
Nice. Brock makes the push there. I'm not sure why. That's super weird. I've never seen this. Literally, it's every comment right now. It's like making you click show or hide is a thing.
Interesting.
Let me see. Making a note.
First time Be Myself went and limped a strong hand. It's been very much open the good stuff, limp the bad stuff. Starting to balance here, but that may be more a product of him and Barack having the same stack. Trying to reduce the average pot size. Looks like we'll probably see a call here from Brock. Me, myself, with a very moderate made hand going to the turn. Would have expected a check here, but nope, goes for check.
Yep, sevens
Brock.
got the lead right now. I mean, this is for potentially the chip lead pot out just like that. Brock going to shift it over here if he can win this pot. He is behind on the turn. He does get a card. The 8 on the river. 7's still good. As the ace of spade.
Yeah, this is one of those spots where if this wasn't such a heavy ICM spot, we could see a lot of chips go in between the two of them in one manner or another. But final three, you know, less dicking around. Let's just take it to showdown.
Ooh, 3s.
Yeah,
I mean, I think
threes,
Brock feeling
pretty effective.
Yeah, gets out of the way.
Let's go for fold. Maslach with one of the looser defends he's made today, if not the loosest, recognizing now he's in a clear third place. There's no one to really wait out. Goes for the 1/3 donk on the 7-6-4. Works out.
Yeah, I mean, Brock does check back. 7-4 suited, Jack 6 going to pair the top card. It's still plenty of play here. I think Maslach knows these guys are battling. They're playing a lot of pots. The payout structure is, as you mentioned, a bit flat, but there is still a huge jump between third and first here, and there's a lot to play for as there is still everyone healthy here. I mean, Maslach still with what's he got? 23 blinds, 24 blinds, sitting all right. 8s and 6s. Wow, this could be fireworks. Just to call. Sorry, if you're typing in the chat the keyword, I'm hitting the show. We have moderators as well. Going to try to get you guys in there. I have no idea why it's not letting this go. It's like GTO Lab or something. Something doesn't like YouTube doesn't like the comments for whatever. They're like literally like not allowing the comments, and I've never seen that before. It's very strange.
Well, while it's out there, if anyone wants to join the GTO Lab Discord, we have a lot of free strategy talk and stuff going on. Pretty helpful for the type of audience that tunes into this.
Ace Jack suited, button, big hand, 3-handed. Big hand gonna go to a 450 open, a little more than the min raise. Barak feeling good. I'm telling you, I just got a feeling about Barak today. I just got a feeling. He came in chip leader. Not so hard to have a feeling when you pick the chip leader, but as it's played out, he did have a little adversity. He's getting back close to the chip lead. He plays high stakes cash. Are you familiar with his game and a lot like know a decent
fantastic player?
There he goes, ace 5 off, just ripping it. Ace 3 suited now. King 3 covers, goes for the 3x. I mean, ace 3 suited, Maslach shortest here. Pretty much feeling good, right, to put the chips in here. Flatting doesn't seem like a great selection to do, so let's see if he just goes for all of it.
Nice shove.
Does take it down. Does take it down. 10 for the Walk coming to be myself. Ace Jack trying to just see if he can get to the ultimate. I don't know how many satellite winners actually have taken it down before. To be fair, there's some of the top players that play at so many events, right? They've played 100 times and they satellite sometimes because it's good value. It's fun to play satellites. So it doesn't mean, satellite winners winning this. That doesn't really put you in a bucket. There's a lot of people that
look
play
at that limp on the
There's a lot of value in satellites.
Nuzlocke looking to see a flop, but doesn't want to get bumped off the 10-8 suited. Trying to lose a little bit less if he does encounter a hand. See if Barak tries to capitalize on this at all. Nope. See a check. And this is interesting. Barak flops, ass end of the gutter and a backdoor flush draw. And the nut gut from Nuzlocke with an overcard. Goes big. That might be enough to chase Barak off right away. So you don't often see a gutter and a backdoor flush draw fold, but this might be one of the rare times that happens. Oh. And he does make the better hand on the turn. Tough spot for Nuzlocke here. Does have, a weak enough hand that bet folding is not the end of the world. So if I did start the bet on the flop, might continue here. And that's going to be all she wrote.
Yeah, 8-10. I mean, this is somehow he has the straight. And he is thinking that, so he's weighing to check or bet, try to just get a bluff. He's going to go for all of it. Just unblocks a lot of stuff here. But I mean, you could argue to go for a check here. Nuzlocke with the 8-10. I mean, just posturing. Obviously, he's got 10 high. I'm still losing. I'm so confused. I'm still not understanding how this is possible with the the keyword. I just don't see what could possibly be of offense there. But we're gonna figure it out. We're gonna play. We're gonna get to the winner. And I see I'm hitting show on a lot of them, and some are working. So anyway, we'll choose that in a second. We are gonna see Barak now over 8 mil, getting close. Be myself 9.1, 250K big blind. This is
close spot here in the small blind between shoving and limping. Kind of see argument for both. Raise fold, an interesting way to go about it. Goes for shove. Let's go for open. You wonder if he's maybe just folding if small blind rips or re-raises. Not sure exactly what the plan would be there, but seems very reasonable.
Yeah, I think, I mean, at this point now, it's pretty even. We got exactly 50% the stack from the tied chip leaders, as the King 10 suited in the small. Barak actually, with Motown here, going to go ahead and open up. He's opening a little more than min raise. Any reason? Any reason why you'd want to do a slightly more here? Does it matter much? Is it just
giving the big blind a slightly worse price? You guys aren't looking to get into pots versus each other, so you disincentivize defends by a little bit. Every pot between Be Myself and Barak is just kind of bad for both of them, all things being equal. But yeah, that wasn't much more, 2.1x. Not a huge adjustment.
Yeah, it's, I mean, two fives here on a scary board has the lead, and not much for 5-7 to do with a gut shot. Does have a gut shot. There's a spot where I mean, if you're Be Myself and you're in this position and you feel that it's sort of shifting a bit, you had 12 million. Now you have 8. Barak's got 8 million. Are you making some adjustments? Do you think this is a time to time. How would you approach it? Because it does feel like, it's like that upstuck theory, right? You're sitting there, you are chip leader, but you got a little momentum going to Brock. You don't want to misstep. You're covering Maslach. Sure. Would you maybe try to tighten up a bit here, or do you think it's time to still keep the foot on the gas?
I would think in numbers and not words. So the first thing, the easiest way to do that, of course, is to have it in big blinds over chips. So, these three probably have that. And then it's just a really fluid situation because, big blinds are in relation to your opponents. And also, as the blinds increase, you might have the exact same chip dispersion, but with the blinds increasing, you play something like 16, 12, and 9, very different from how you play 32, 24, and 18. So we're just kind of, trying not to subscribe to any one theory, recognizing that the very next hand we might be in a different or a very different spot, and we're almost always in a slightly different spot. I think the more you attach aggressive, loose, reactor, whatever to your strategy, the more rigid you become in a spot where you really want to be fluid. What is it like? Ali says, be like water, or flow like a butterfly, sting like a bee.
Yeah.
Whatever cliche you want to use, all the tropes apply.
Ten-9. Both players got a little bit of a draw, not that strong of a draw. Maslach going for it here, does force the fold. Nice hand. Puts us into a new conversation now. Three-way, everyone with some chips. 244K locked up. You can see the jump on payouts healthy. Too close to call now. I don't know. I'm like, Maslach's got a little momentum. Be myself there. Barack feels healthy, but now ace 10, king 4. Nice card to have, the ace of spades here. King 4, bottom pair.
It's a nice one for Brock to check. He doesn't really fold Maslach off many better hands. And he's just got a very nice hand to check call turn, whether he's ahead or behind. Facing a real small bet. It's an interesting river. I mean, this is not the hand you want to turn into a bluff, but we're doing a lot better after we check call than he is, and Maslach is, if we're Barack. And what worse hand do you have than this? It's a reasonable river to be donking on. You're pretty much at the bottom of your range, save, I don't know, a king of spade X. You really don't want to find yourself bluffing with the ace of spade almost ever on the river there, and yet that might have been the spot for it. We can see it would have had, pretty high chance of working, but always easier with the cards up.
Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, you're exactly right. And this is literally three-way. So this went from a possible runaway to literally couldn't be more even. We're almost 3 hours in, and could be a while, right? Could be a bit. These guys all want to win. They all want the pay jumps, of course, and it is still very, very, very evenly stacked. No clear favorite now. It is really wide open, and the blinds are at 102, 200. We're getting into sort of that 3-hour territory is a long one. That is a long table for, I think most of them are, 2 hours, 40 minutes, 2.5, something like that. Start getting a 3-hour territory, and we're not even clear where heads up could take a while. We're still 3 ways. So I don't know. You have a pick? Give me your pick, John. Who are you picking now? 3 left. We did your picks earlier. You gave some flyers. You went for the home run on the long shots today, but who do you got right now? 3-way.
Be myself.
Okay.
I think Barack is playing the best, but I would pick Be Myself to have the best chance to win. Not always the same thing.
Queen 6, gonna make a flush. 4 4 clubs, queen 6, going to feel probably pretty good about getting to win this hand. I don't know if there's a much point to bet. What would be your cutoff to bet there on that river as played? Do you go for some thin value?
Definitely 6 of clubs. I'm betting that. The question is, do I bet deuce of clubs? And yeah, I do. And then against some players, let me pick Brock, actually. I like Brock's chances. I think he's looking pretty good these days. I rethought some things. I feel a lot better about Brock winning.
This could be problematic. Maslach, I mean, we're not very deep anymore. Talking about sub 30 here, 7s, 3-handed, button open, Barak. I mean, this could be surfs up.
Yeah, despite some of the pre-flop nitty, yeah, I was gonna say it wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, interesting.
Well, there it goes. Cards on their back. 13 million to 7s. They always look dangerous versus aces. That is not so dangerous. That is runner. Perfect. GG lights out. Not GG short stack, I should say. Close to GG, but not. Barak was not covering. Maslach is still in with 3 left. My mistake. Apologize. And it's still in there. I'm sticking with Barak, though. I'm sticking with Barak. 13 mil. Maslach, work to do. Giveaway.
Yeah, I'm sticking with Barak too. You and I both. Barak. That's our guy. We're thinking the same thing.
Yeah, Barak, 13 mil now. Healthy. All right, I'm going to announce the winner. The Twitter, we're at our final 3 already. We did get it in there. I do have to mention that there is a 50 million guaranteed in the Paradise Super main event. That is crazy. Paradise in play, and that's going to be in the Bahamas in December. Any chance you get over there? That's pretty short. A little jump, hop, and a skip. You're going to get over to the Bahamas?
Yeah, I have a wedding in Costa Rica that's going to have me missing the first few days, and then I'm going to get over for the majority of it. This is
there's a 26K super main event. It's going to be one of the biggest 25Ks of all time. Guarantees are crazy. Main event's crazy. All kinds of good stuff over there. Kind of throwback to the Atlantis, right? Was back in the day. The Paradise. You know, there's been some Bahamar events.
This is an interesting hand we've got here. This, another spot where Barak is at a real borderline situation here. What does he have to bluff if he's not bluffing the 3-4-4-2 on this turn? At the same time, he's so low equity. Be Myself, we know, can't really fold this hand on the turn. Questionable if he ever makes a tight fold with an ace-10, ace-2. But yeah, this could be sick. Barak has the kind of hand that could follow through on a lot of rivers. Even this complete brick of a river, what does he have that's unpaired except for, I don't know, like a Jack 6 or something? Not much. 6-3. He's got the 6-4. He's got the 9-6. He's got some, plenty of 2 pairs. He did isolate pre, so he's got pocket 8s, maybe pocket 7s in there. Yeah, he goes for it. What a spot. Does Be Myself make the call? I think he's going to be a hero.
The 9. How nice is it to have a 9 here?
Not really. I mean, Jack 9 is possible for Barak, but I don't know how much Barak is isolating Jack 9 pre. I think the 9 is a bad card. I mean, it blocks 9-6. Blocking 9-6 is nice, but you also block 9-2, 9-3 if he ever uses those. 9-4. The 9 cuts both ways. I don't really see it as good or bad.
Okay, so it's not a great. That's not like
super tough. I mean, it actually might be very good or very bad depending on how Barak constructs his range. But in this moment, I would be shocked if somebody like right away knows that the 9 is actually good or bad in a significant way. I think it kind of cuts both ways. I think Be Myself is going to call. Oh, yeah, there it is. Wow.
Be Myself in a new position. Look at those stats. Sick. 28 VPIP, 19 Sick. PFR. Doesn't 3-bet a lot, but he's got the chip lead. 15 mil, big lead. Maslach is short. I'm going to pick the winner in a sec. This could be over fast, right? This could be literally.
Now he gets aces.
10. Wow.
That was a hell of a hand. That was great.
Good spot. Aces to ace-8. Got a gut shot, needs some help, is in a heart now, is no good. This is all kind of troublesome, and this is going to be a That is the nuts with the nut flush, I should say, not the nuts, the straight flush, but that is a knockout. Heads up play. Barack is now out chipped.
There we go.
But we're gonna see, can he finish it? The Ryan Gleedow asking if it's a special mins. This is not, but it's during the GG WSOP online, and that is a, you know, everything's a little bit spiced up. 3-1 lead. Be myself. Can he get it done? Can he get it done? We're going to see. The keyword, this is going to be a $100 ticket giveaway on the keyword. Got to be typing in GGWSOP space GTO Lab space your GGPoker username, which it's not letting us put in. Trying to accept everyone on the side as we're watching this. Fives over here. Barack has a winner to start. Every pot important heads up in particular. When you're 3-1 dog, you need to get a little bit of momentum. Need to come back in a bit. Trying to find
most important part of the tournament. Definitely the most entertaining. Heads up. Love it. Got small ante. Still not much in the way of button folding. And, you know, we know Barack knows what he's doing here. He's going to be one of the most capable. That big shove. We don't know, how does Be Myself want to construct his ranges? Heads up. How much experience does he have? Heads up.
King 4, 7-9. Going to come in opening. Does put a little bit of more than a min raise. Slightly call. 7-9. King 4 in the lead. Middle pair. Yeah. I mean, it's just not a big lead. 3-1 becomes 2-1, John. What is your, I mean, comebacks. This is not,
this is close right away. Whoa. Barack may find himself making a big grip here. This is like 27, a little bit less.
Whoa. For the win. 8, Be Myself, the satellite winner. Can he finish it? Good flop, has to fade a 9 and ace. The jack now. Yeah. There are some counterfeit outs for the title.
Give us some more heads up. Jack.
Can he do it?
9.
Ooh,
9.
7. Winner. Satellite parlay takes it down. Barack will not get his second title. He has to settle for second, and there it is. The Argentina man gets it done. Be Myself. Congrats to you, my friend. 410K from the satellite. That makes the ROI a little more special. I mean, big day. Tell me, 3 hours in, what a final table. The guy, the unknown, got it done. Tell me your thoughts. Anything that stand out? Any hand, any moment, any player that did just sort of gave you a little bit of a wow today?
Yeah, I think there were a few hands. Barack was a part of them that I really enjoyed. There was the Queen 2 suited. He had the turn barrel. There was the Jack 3 suited, and then final one was the 4-2 with the fantastic call by Be Myself. That was probably the hand of the tournament. I don't think you can fault either player. I think Be Myself made an incredible call, but at the same time, Barack, he'd earned some credibility passing on some spots, and he really leveraged his situation in that spot. I think I like the 4-2 that he used. There was a lot of really good play. And
yeah, I got to say, I was impressed. I think that he definitely did not seem like an amateur, and you can never say a satellite winner that someone you put him in a bucket. I mean, listen, the big buy-ins, we've satellited, right? We've satellited things we would maybe normally not play, and sometimes you just satellite because it's fun to play or it's good value. So there it is. You can see the odds to win. There, it takes it down to start the day. The long shots didn't quite come home. The favorite, Barack, comes in second. Top 3 did go top 3, though. For those at home that entered in the giveaway on GG, on the Twitter, on the X, if you will, that was the winner announced. Actually, I don't know if I did announce that. Let me do this. Good catch here. So we see his name on Twitter is TrueLala25, C.A. You have a $100 ticket. That will be announced on there for X. Congrats to you. So chalk today. Top 3, finish top 3. We'll be back, and we have some very special episodes coming up. As I mentioned, we have a 24th of September. There's going to be I think it's the main event is a huge one, and then the GGMillion special WSOP bracelet also the following week. Going to be I don't know if we can say who's a guest here. We got some special guests. Always a special treat to have you, Jonathan. 5 times on the show. Appreciate you so much. People, if they want to follow you, the best way is to subscribe to the GTO Lab podcast. Anywhere else that people can follow along? Or I know you've had 5 episodes, including Ike Haxton, who was just on. Where else can people follow along with you?
Yeah, the GTO Lab channel on YouTube, and then if you click on any of the podcasts, it should have instructions how to join the Discord if you like. Feel free to message me over there. Get you
amazing.
Amazing.
Hat. Well, listen, appreciate the team. What a treat. What a story whenever a satellite winner does it. Just something a little extra special. And again, really big names today, big prizes, and of course a huge guest. Jonathan, thank you for your time. Thank you to everyone watching, and we appreciate you. We'll be back next week. And I want to say Lucky Chewy. I don't know if it's this week or the next week, but he is confirmed. He's going to be coming on, and I will have, again, we can always say we're going to have a great guest. I can guarantee you guys that, and we're going to see some great play. So thanks again. And I love that logo, man. You got to, when I take you to dinner, can you bring me a hat? I want one of those.
Yeah, I can bring you a hat, bring you a shirt. Oh, whoop, wrong side. There's a logo over there.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next week. Thanks, John.
You bet.